All right, welcome and thank you for watching and listening wherever you're tuning in. And this is the Dark Roast of Nerdiness podcast, episode number 5. I am your host, Wolf, as always, with my co-host Shark and our new co-host friend 8Ball. This is the IP Strike Back, maybe. We're going to get the discussion starting right on that subject as we start the state of IPs and the future of them. With so many of the things that we have in question right now. I mean, we have Disney has taken over. When it first happened, we didn't know if it was, woohoo, big budget, big technology combining of everything within Marvel and Star Wars. Then it gets handed over to Kathleen Kennedy, and some of the decisions lately, I hate to say it, when you sit there and you take a unstoppable force of Lucas and turn it into, in the last 5 years, a $7.5 billion in the negative disaster. How do we save it?
I think the issue goes a little bit deeper than just that. I mean, because you brought up George Lucas as the unstoppable force and stuff like that. He really wasn't the unstoppable. It is him because it's his IP. The whole origins of Star Wars is George Lucas, and it's in his head, and I understand that, and it's him. He's the man. But it was Disney bought it, and Disney bought a property, and because they didn't have control over the expanded universe of this thing, and because they couldn't bring all of the outside properties into one cohesive ball, they went and said, we're just going to ignore everything that happened out there, and we're just going to do it our own way. And I think that decision right there was truly the death of Star Wars as you see it now.
Most definitely. When you have a room full of creative writers and half of the people you've hired said they hadn't even seen the original movies, played any of the games, read any of the books, why did you hire them?
Right. Well, even that could have been something in itself if you had at least tried to incorporate stuff that came from outside. They didn't want any of the stuff from outside. So you got stories that didn't mesh well. The story of Rey would have been better if it was told the way it was told in the books. And I know it wasn't Rey in the books. I know she was Ben's sister and stuff like that. Like, I know it was
more sense making them the twins because being the dyad in the Force.
Right. But you didn't even steal from the outside properties. And I get that the writers were like, well, I take pride in the fact that I've never seen it. That's disrespectful and dumb, but okay. And
it hasn't worked so far. Take other IPs. It failed The Witcher. It failed Star Trek. It failed Doctor Who.
I can't even get into it. Justice for Henry Cavill. That's all I have to say on that one.
Not only justice, but respect for a man that put his dream job on the line and said, if you don't want to follow the books, I'm out of here. Peace.
See, good
luck with
it. But that's the type of integrity you need, especially in the nerddom of Hollywood. Oh, yeah. You need that integrity from those people, because the main reason that they got Henry Cavill, not just because he was a fan. I mean, they got him originally because he was a big fan, and he was like, yes, I'll do it. I'm down to do that. But Henry Cavill as a name, Superman is coming in to be your star. And I know that if they had gone into like budgetary problems or anything like that, Henry Cavill would have told them, been like, hey, look, y'all can cut back on my pay, or I'll do this, or we'll do this around. And like he loved the IP. But then all of a sudden you're coming out going, no, we're going to tell a new story about it. And the main thing is I don't mind the story that they're trying to tell, but it's like, do it creatively by itself. Because you have to read what you're doing. Like, you have to read the original stuff in order to come in and then go, okay, well, I'm going to tell a story in this universe. Okay, cool. It could be an offset. It doesn't have to be the main.
But know the source code.
Yeah, but know the source. Know the source enough to respect it.
But that's the problem. They don't respect it. And even if they do respect a little, their own hubris gets the best of them and their own arrogance. And they think they know better. You listen to a lot of these people in interviews. It's not about, we want the fans. We know the fans are going to love this. No, it's, I wanted to do this. I thought this was the best. Like right now, that's my worry in a hole is James Gunn does not sit there and say, I have heard the fans and I've listened. No, it's I want to make it because this was my favorite comic growing up. Well, guess what? The comic you picked wasn't even the top 50 sellers, but you took a gamble with Guardians and it worked, but that's because it was a great story. It had great characters and it tied an opening of a universe and a saga that everybody was wondering, all right, if you did this great with nothing that we really knew about, where's this going to go? The problem is everything he's done since has just been, I'm sorry, I've watched some of the new stuff. It was mildly entertaining, but the most part, it's like, would I watch it again? No.
Yeah.
There's no rewatchability to it. But I know people, like especially those of us in this room, that have probably lost count of how many times you watched Endgame.
Oh, yeah.
4 times.
I mean, phase 1 through 3 was excellent storyboarding and storytelling. People that knew the source materials, knew they could make some changes, but did it in a way that didn't upset people. It made people go, okay, you're changing a little bit. Okay, let's see. And then when phase 5 and 4 hit, then they started changing everything, and look what happened. Marvel's losing money. The projects are not getting the numbers they got. And they want to chalk it up to superhero fatigue. I don't think it's superhero fatigue. You go to any comic book shop, people are still thriving for stuff. Just make, it's like, it blows my mind that they think they got to create this something new. No, you don't. Take the pages we've read. There's your storyboard. There's your script. Make it live. Make it happen. That's all any comic fan has ever asked for.
Yeah, just tweak what needs to be tweaked.
Well, that's the other thing too. They don't listen to the comic book fan. I'm not even talking about the fan of the actual comic. I'm just talking about comic book fans in general. Comic books are billion. Would it be billion now? Multi-billion dollar business.
Oh yeah, it's $1 billion.
It's a multi-billion dollar business industry with dedicated fans. They're already there. You'll get comic book fans that'll go see a project out of hate, out of love. Like it's guaranteed, it prints its own money, but they'll sit there and be like, we need to get young girls into this. And I'm like, there are girls that are into comics that are going to be in that group of people that like the comics. You're trying to get somebody who's not interested in comics to be interested in comics. Are there compelling stories? Yes, but they're not going to be interested.
Well, the funny part is the characters that the female fans had wanted, they didn't do. Or they race swapped for a male character that those female fans already liked as a male character. They don't understand their core audience at all. Like Star Wars was a big one. We need more female representation in Star Wars. There are no female empowerment characters in Star Wars. I'm Luke's story, you have one of the most powerful ones. Mara Jade, his wife.
Are we in our
Leia was the most powerful, baddest bitch in the universe. She took a scoundrel and a farm boy and destroyed an empire.
Before I go off on a rant, how far in are we?
We got 2 more minutes for the YouTube gods to be appeased. All right. We'll go back to that one. Let's go into the mistakes made in like IPs like Star Trek and Doctor Who.
How about active ones like Doctor Who and now Harry Potter?
Well, I'll go with this. So the remake, I'll put it like this. I understand remaking Harry Potter. Because I understand things like the remake of not Reacher, Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
The whole Jack Ryan saga, they remade it. They remade it as a TV show. They put the continuity on it. It's great. Ryan. I loved all of the movies. I like the books, but I loved all the movies because you had Sum of All Fears, you had Clear and Present Danger, you had all the. But Jack was different people for everything. Hunt for Red October. And then, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's the same character and it's jarring because it's being played by different people. Well, it's not even a progression. It's being played by different people perceiving it in a different way. It's almost like watching a schizophrenic have a conversation with himself. So,
but there is a progression to his character from that simple analyst into that I know if I need to go, hack a computer or I need to go and bust somebody's balls, I can do that.
Right, but if you're looking at the backdrop to what it was set in, so when they remade it as a series and they put everything together, it's better. I get to see the progression in real time versus having to do a Jedi mind trick to try and make it a progression. Because if you watch Hunt for Red October and then you watch Sum of All Fears, you're thrown off by the time dilation of it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did kind of pick an out of order of the direction they should have gone. If they had released them canonically, you wouldn't have much of a jump. Kind of like they did for many years with Bond. You're jumping in, but you're not doing big jumps.
Well, see, they explained away the Bond continuum time trap deregulation in the last one when they were like, oh, 007 isn't a finite name, it's different, and James Bond may not actually be their real name, it's a cover name.
Yeah.
Also, it's a terrible cover name if everybody knows who you are. But no. Let's get back to what we were talking. So with Star Trek, I think it's if you talk to all the older, like the original series fans, and I'm talking about the older original series fans, the fact that it was done episodically, so it just moved on. Each story in itself had a beginning, middle, and end, and by the time the 45 minutes was up, I know it's a TV hour, but commercials. But by the time the 45 minutes was up, the story was finished.
Yeah,
and then
completion.
You gradually went into the next generation, and the next generation, for the most part, the earlier seasons were done episodically, just like that. But then you had a couple of run-ons to build tension or to tell a story in a better.
You had a longer stretch spanned out over seasons. Building arcs, and basically they also did that the smart way, was also to enable shows like Voyager and Deep Space Nine to be able to do more than one show at the same time.
But they didn't start that way, because if you remember, episode 1, 2, and 3, and even somewhat into 4 were all one run-on.
Yes, like I said, they did have some run-ons where
season 2 is where they started that.
Right now, I'm like they did have run-ons so that they could tell that story correctly, because it had to stretch it out. But like I said, and then it goes into the episodic. You start getting episodic episodes, and then you'll have maybe a stretch of 3 episodes that are one story. But then it goes back into the episodic stuff. It was really good, and it did open up the universe to tell different stories, like Voyager, like Deep Space Nine, and everything else. I think where it happened was when they started trying to regress and go, okay, well, we're going to redo the original series world. I think that's where they messed up. I get doing Enterprise, but I think they messed up by trying to go back instead of just continuing to go forward. And the reason I say that is because they went back and then they started trying to tell stories with the way that we tell stories now. There's 2 problems. One, the climate, the political climate change, and this is the real world, the political climate change in the real world, the way that people express themselves in the real world, and the problems that we have in the real world. Are they reflected in Star Trek? Absolutely. But it's harder to tell that from the original series standpoint than it is from a developmental standpoint.
The original Star Wars standpoint from Roddenberry's perspective was you didn't need to bring out the fact that she was black, that he's Russian, that he's gay, that he's this.
Yeah.
Because we've already moved past all that bullshit. All we see is the individual and the merits of their character.
Right. But
we have gotten it reversed now. We've gone backwards to where everybody wants to be called out on what they are and boast about it in a sense that doesn't need to be there really to love or hate the character.
Again, that's the political shift. Oh, go ahead. I'm
and there's a simple statement for that. I forget what show it was, but the simple statement was, when everybody's special, nobody is. And that's where we're at. That's the
right Incredibles
now.
And Syndrome. It's my man.
Thank you. But that is what we're living.
Syndrome.
Well, the other thing is, it's not just the political climate that destroyed the newer Star Trek. You had a lot of people that couldn't understand that. Why does it look so nice when the original did? They don't understand that the original was made on literally a no budget. They were working with what they had.
Well,
on top of that, hold on real quick. They don't get the fact that the part that really destroyed, like, people were open to Strange New Worlds. They were open to Discovery. They were open to all these shows. They were excited. Where they fucked up was one point in Discovery. You took away the specialness of Spock. You gave him a sister nobody had ever talked about, ignoring the brother he already had. And on top of it, you force everybody to believe that for the entirety of Spock's life, he did the one thing for his entire life no Vulcan can do, which is lie.
So, in that, I get where in that you can go with the BS logic of it's not the Kelvin time frame.
And Mark, release the Kraken.
It's
10 minutes is up.
Oh, good. We're there. Good.
We're there.
Okay. Shit. No. No. Okay. So they try to explain it away by saying, well, it's not the same time frame because we're going to go with what we did when we did the new Star Trek movie, the new old Star Trek movies, with what's his name, Chris Pine as Captain Kirk, and we'll say it's in that time. It's in the
timeline.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The only way you can get away with that is if that then turns Spock into Mirror Universe Spock. And you don't realize you're living Mirror Universe.
Well, they've already said that the timeline of the Kelvins is its own universe.
Well, even no. Listen. Even if you wanted to do that, the problem is Vulcans don't lie. Romulans do, but Vulcans don't lie. And I know that they're technically the same fucking species, but I'm gonna do. I hate having that debate with people because I'm like, Romulans and Vulcans are the exact same people.
Hold on, the Spock in Strange New Worlds has already reiterated Vulcans are incapable of lying, and you're sitting here going, okay, how am I to believe this when you are the same Discovery Spock who's been lying the whole fucking time?
Right. And the whole thing that you have to look at that as
stupid, and they're not going to catch this shit.
But that's the whole. That again, this goes into my whole problem with what happened, and this is what I'm talking about when I talk about the political landscape of stuff, right? So, if you talk to somebody now about Star Trek, they could tell you about the Western expansion, what is it? What's it called? God wanting everybody to go out into the desert or whatever. Manifest Destiny. You can go into the whole Manifest Destiny spiel about it. People weren't doing that before. So now you've got creators coming in that also have that nuance to it. It was, here we are exploring the universe and we're the good guys. And now we've made it so nuanced on what is a good guy, what is a bad guy. No, it's a shade of gray. And the thing about it was, if you look at all the older Star Treks, even to a point, you start looking at the Next Generation, and you start looking at Deep Space Nine, and you start looking at Voyager, they still kept a lot of that. We are good guys. This is a bad guy, or this is a bad thing that's happening, or whatever. And then they start covering, like later seasons, they start covering shades of gray because they've got things going on that can't be done in the guise of black and white, good and bad. The Dominion War. It's a war. Two things can be
a war. You're facing an enemy that, unlike other enemies, the Klingons were barbaric, but they were also had a code of honor.
Yeah, they were principled.
Romulans had a pursuit of they had a determining spirit of this is how it's done by any means necessary, but there were still lines they would not cross.
Everybody had
a functionality of a singular purpose. They're not evil. They're just run by a singular purpose.
Right.
The Dominion were just downright fucking evil.
Yes.
But that's what I'm talking about. Well, if you look at that, they tried to basically make the Cardassians space Nazis. But again, principles. Everybody had a set of principles. Everybody had a sense of morality that was key to their species, key to their culture, key to whatever that is, right? And the Dominion didn't have that. The Dominion were just all in all conquerors and everything else and stuff like that. They no, as the British friends would say, they were the baddies, and I understand that. But
they were more than just the baddies, though.
What I'm talking about is you're fighting. But you're fighting them, right? You're fighting this enemy. You're going to have to cross lines to fight the enemy. You're going to have to cross lines that you don't want to cross to fight line. I'll put it like this. The episode with Hugh in Next Generation.
Okay,
the Federation was fighting the Borg. The Federation recovered the Borg. The Federation had a chance to upload a virus into the Borg and send it back into the collective to send the virus back into the collective. Picard didn't want to do it. And then you see in the following episodes where his chain of command, his superiors, and some of his peers looked down on him and said horrible shit to him about basically not pulling the trigger on that.
Yeah.
It's covered in there. It's covered in there. The shades of gray that they had to get into, and at the end of the day, what decision are you going to make that you're going to be able to live with and stuff like that? Well, the problem is they're taking that, and then they basically took out the whole we're the good guys, these are the bad guys, and they just put that ambiguity into all of it. And that is the problem that a lot of people are having with the newer episodes of things. Section 31. I'm interested in looking at Section 31, but I look at Section 31 the same way. Listen, I look at Section 31 the same way I look at the CIA right now. I'm an American.
That movie, I made it 10 minutes in and had to turn it off.
It was a comedy show. That was not Section 31.
I get that, but
it was Star Trek trying to be their own version of Guardians, but they didn't build you any of the characters.
Well,
literally. 20. I know people that watched the whole thing, and they said literally after 15 minutes, you couldn't even remember the names of any of the fucking characters because they're that forgettable.
But that's the thing. That whole subject matter is a shade of gray. Now, how they want to tell the story, they're trying to tell the story in a way where it's palatable, and they need to get away from that and just tell the story.
Yeah,
tell it from.
They need to go back and have when it comes to all these shows. They do have one thing in common, which is they're on this whole roller coaster of trying to build a redemption arc for the villain, or the villain was never really the villain. They were actually a hero. They had to do bad things to become the hero. And it's
the ambiguity of being the bad guy versus the good guy and everything else. First of all,
well, that's like I noticed. So then I pointed out to Shark that in the last podcast, and we've talked about it a couple of times, which is the last times that they've made big decisions about changing a character or, going off about this is the first gay character in this character, whatever they want to token out to the public to try to grasp that straws of people to watch. They don't give the character they're trying to give a good start. I have noticed that half of the characters they've race swapped, or half the characters they told about it's the first gay kiss in Witcher history, are all the most horrible fucking murderous motherfuckers in the show.
Well,
even if you want to represent your crowd, your group, you give a character people are going to love, not somebody they despise.
So here's the thing that Hollywood has often done, and they've been doing it because of mainstream media, and it's not a thing. And this is going to make me sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I'm not. Anytime you look at gay stuff, no, listen. Anytime you look at them talking about anything gay within the spectrum of anything, it gives an undertone of treachery or anything like this. Key point: if you look at commercials for PrEP is an HIV vaccine and everything else and stuff like that for men. The fact that they have this is a great thing. And it should be touted as, hey, basically, we found a cure for HIV. They don't say it that way. They don't put it as a vaccine. Well, they say it's a vaccine for HIV, but they don't really want to say it that way. If you have HIV and you take this, it will go ahead and make you undetectable.
Yeah. They literally
and I'm like,
I noticed those commercials when they sit there, it's pretty much toting of, you don't have to disclose, you could give them something that's deadly, just fuck away.
You're undetectable. You're getting away with it. You're sneaking around and doing.
They didn't put at the end of it, Twink approved.
Lock him.
But that's the thing that they do. But that's the thing they do with a lot of homosexual stuff anyway, within the median of Hollywood, and they low key still do it. And the worst part is they low key still do it, and they're trying to be like, oh, well, we're inclusive and we do this and we do that. They've gotten more comfortable with interracial stuff just because they don't want to be more comfortable with gay things, like. And then the way Star Trek, the way Discovery did it, the doctor and the one dude that were
engineer.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there looking at it, and it's like, okay, am I mad at this because it's an interracial relationship, or am I mad at this because it's a gay relationship?
Let's pack it on as much as we can.
For the haters, it's that. You know, you're sitting there asking. But then what they did was, and I'm not going to get in. Well,
do it.
The other thing that they did about it was they made their relationship ambiguous. And the weird thing is, the majority of relationships, especially same-sex relationships, end up falling into some sort of dichotomy of looking like a hetero relationship anyway. You can get two lipstick lesbians to be together, but at some point, one of them's the one that pays for dinner. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like one. Well, no, I'm just saying.
One of the one that decks the guy that goes too far and becomes a creep around him.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
One of them ends up they end up falling into that masculine feminine role within relationships anyway, even though it's a whole dichotomy and we got to talk about all the nuances and everything else. Look, break it down to brass fucking tacks. Somebody's the dude and somebody's the chick. Somebody's the dude and somebody's the chick, always in everything. And what they did was they're like, well, we're gonna make this interracial gay couple, and we're gonna put it in front of you, and you're gonna watch them kiss, and you're gonna watch them do all this stuff and everything else. But we're also gonna make it so ambiguous that you can't tell who's who.
Well, and now it's not even no longer that. It's the female who identifies as male but is gay, and
wait, she identifies as male, but she's gay, and she's also non-binary.
Oh no! Now you got the ones that go even further. The one that's been all over the media feeds recently.
And
I'm gay, non-binary, bisexual, pro-trans, and I identify as a turtle.
Either way, so that we don't sound like we're just hating on people from the community or anything. Oh, hold on. I gotta. Anyway, so we don't sound like we're just bad.
There is no hate here. None of our stuff has ever come from an area of anger.
It's
anger
but
at the machine trying to
no. It's not that. It's a tokenism. It's not. It's tokenism. It's not
disingenuous.
It's not a proper representation of what it really is. It's just look and behold.
Yeah. When everybody's special, nobody is.
Yeah. So that brings to the second part of this. How do you save these IPs? How do you get past this? What do you do? Like my theory, I got to agree with a few of the other content creators out there. Star Wars is an easy one. You do what Lucas did. Shelve it for 10 years. Do a couple of cartoons. Do some small stuff. No movies, no big shit. Shelve it out. Put out comics. Put out video games. Build the interest back up, and get a formulaic plan to bring something new or something old. Like right now, what has Star Wars fans wanted forever? Bring us the fucking old Republic. You have video games, you have characters, you have stories, you could do the birth of you want to talk about bad people? Do the story of the first 12 Sith Lords.
Bane's going to be a story.
Or the story of the Full Witches.
Someone
Revan.
in an interview asked Keanu Reeves, is he to do Star Wars?
Revan.
And you know what his response was? He wants Revan.
Yeah.
He'd be a perfect Revan. I mean, hell, what's her name? I thought of this the other day. Imagine this one. Ava Green as a Saj Ventress.
Yo.
She knows how to do that menacing, I'm going to rip your heart out stare.
But again, then you have to get into the backstory of what the Night Sisters, the witches.
Yeah, the Night Sisters and the Daughters of Dathomir.
Yeah.
So, okay, Star Wars. You shelve it or you do some good stories, but you tone it down. You don't oversaturate.
No. Shelve. Don't do anything for two. Look, shelve. Don't look. Here's how you do it. Don't do anything for.
I got an idea for DC. You want to bring Batman to the forefront? Make it a fucking serial TV show.
Stop telling
Give him his rogues gallery. Make it a crime noir. Gotham had the perfect setup, but DC crippled them by telling them certain characters they couldn't use. They couldn't name Jerome as Joker. They put so many. And that's the
best. That is the best Joker.
Yeah, I mean, really, right there. That's another answer for Star Wars. If you wanted to do a story, Cameron Monaghan would love to bring Cal Kestis to life. I mean, there are things they could do. It's just they're so set in their ways. The one I have never been able to figure out how Star Trek and Star Wars are easy to recorrect. Star Wars you shelve. Star Trek you go back to form. You take more time. Put some movies. Forget the shows. Do some big movies. Go back to fan submission storylines. Same with Doctor Who. Some of the best story plots for Doctor Who were written by fans. Hold on real quick. Here's the big one. How do you bring Marvel back to form? They keep talking about all these characters. There has only been one project. There's only been one project other than Daredevil and Punisher on the streaming side that has generated a lot of interest, and that is it's time for Marvel to take a page from DC. Your next set of movies, do the dark Marvel universe. Give us the fucking Midnight Suns. Give us a rated R Ghost Rider. And if you want to be diverse, it doesn't have to be Blaze. Give us Ricky Reyes.
Fair.
Marvel's Shield gave us a damn near perfect Ricky Reyes Ghost Rider.
So I would say delve into that. Backpedal. Bring back Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Dude, it's a perfect show, and it was the only thing that Marvel has ever done that canonically changed and adapted to every major movie plot line that came out.
But that's what I'm saying.
And I could watch Coulson for the next 10 years.
I realize how this is gonna sound, and this is how you do it. Because you just did Brave New World, right? So
yeah, and it was
no.
Wasn't as bad as everybody said, but
but here's what you do, because that was the last thing that came out, and unless you want to shelve it for 5 years, which you really shouldn't, here's what you do. You go into bringing back Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because of what happened to the president, because of everything else and stuff like that. The government has to go in and reactivate S.H.I.E.L.D. They've already got him building a team they've already got him rebuilding the Avengers and stuff like that. So let's go into also the rebuilding of S.H.I.E.L.D. in order for that, right? So you go ahead and start out. You can bring out another clone of Coulson if you want to, or you could do something else.
Well, you don't have to. You have the LMD of him. It's still out there. So you bring Coulson back. That's a good idea.
Coulson back.
S.H.I.E.L.D. back. S.H.I.E.L.D. already has stuff to handle.
And then
everybody now knows about the Eternals, and someone's going to want to keep an eye on them,
right?
Since they've been operating. And you've got the Inhumans that are now on Earth.
Right. So then you can cherry pick it a little bit to bring stuff into the universe, and then you can go into, okay, I'm working on a movie. I'm working on this movie and stuff like that. Cool. We'll funnel some of the movie stuff into S.H.I.E.L.D., set up for the movie. Bam, the movie comes out. It's this big thing for it. And then between the movies,
they're bringing the mutants in too.
Right.
Exactly.
So That's another thing. You could do a spin-off show,
and then
do a dichotomy of where Shield's up against the mutant of the Agency of Mutant Affairs. That is
actually even this. You bring in the Agency of Mutant Affairs, which is fine. You have Shield working conjunct with that and stuff like that. You can bring in Magneto into the show, and then start slowly introducing an X-Men movie. Do an X-Men movie. And then you have S.H.I.E.L.D. doing what S.H.I.E.L.D. does. The X-Men don't really want to work with S.H.I.E.L.D., but it is what it is, kind of. And you could do like little crossover. Yeah. You could do little crossover mini mutant stories for the show. And then you could do whatever big movie you want to do here. You can keep Magneto menacing and in the zeitgeist in the show between movies. You can bring in Apocalypse. Again, this time properly.
S.H.I.E.L.D. random characters from the New Mutants, random characters from the Xavier School.
Right.
Because they're going to need you can bring it that they can't handle.
It could be S.H.I.E.L.D. chasing Magneto down while he's recruiting for the Brotherhood.
Well, like I said,
chasing him down, they would be keeping tabs on the Brotherhood.
Right. Or something like, but that's what I'm saying. Something like that. Magneto did something and the movie did what it did. Magneto gets away or whatever and stuff like that. So S.H.I.E.L.D. is trying to make sure that certain things don't happen. Next movie. It's literally the same way they had it set up, except reversed. Because the way they had it set up before was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would hint at stuff that happened in the movies because they weren't necessarily working together. In this case, it's all working as one functioning unit. You could literally do the same thing with DC. Stop telling origin stories. That is where they keep fucking shit up. It's like, we're doing it new, so we're going to have to tell the origin story. No. Tell me the Teen Titans story. Don't tell me the Teen Titans story from where they have to meet and they're trying to mesh as a unit and then they're trying to come together. Tell me the Slade story.
Yeah.
With the Teen Titans already.
Let's face it. The biggest thing that the Batman film with Robert Pattinson did, besides giving us a really badass-looking, realistic Batmobile, it gave us the best version of the Penguin we've ever seen.
It did,
in fact, the Penguin TV show was flawless. It was a great crime mob drama.
But part of the problem with that, though, with the Robert Pattinson is it's a little too real. I like my fantasy added to my Batman. And
you take the best aspects of it. Like I said, that's why Batman needs to be a crime noir show. Give him the gadgets. Give him Alfred. Give him the Rogues Gallery. In fact, the perfect storyline to do you have in the comics. You start out with Batman Year 10. You lead into, you want a big crescendo, lead into Cataclysm. And if you want to open up to the entire Rogues Gallery and all their glory, go into No Man's Land.
I can see it.
In fact, that could tie into why Batman's not out looking at Superman when they do that movie and all these others, because he's dealing with his own shit of Gotham going straight to hell. In fact, the movies can even lay tidbits about the show. Nothing says, Clark Kent and Lois can't be walking through the Daily Planet, and in the background, Perry's asked, who's working that goddamn Gotham store? That place has gone to hell.
Right.
They can lay the groundwork. It's just, they don't. DC has always had this bad habit, unlike Marvel, of not storyboarding out a big scale plan like Marvel did all the way up from Captain America to Endgame.
Their problem is they wanted to follow the Marvel format. And the thing about it was they're not Marvel. And I'm not saying they're not Marvel as in they can't compete. They're not Marvel. It's a different setting. It's a different vibe. It's a different everything.
Well,
all of the TV shows DC was doing were mildly successful.
Most of them were great.
Chef's Kiss.
All of the CW shows were successful. They didn't turn a profit, but they were successful in the fact that they had fans that were loyal.
But you would have got the profits if you had done the movies.
Yeah, if you had done one match, which was
if you had matched it up with if you had matched that shit up with the movie,
damn suit.
Yeah, if you did that with the movie with the shows. The shows would have been more successful and the thing. But again, it goes into that whole respecting the median and respecting the fans. The problem with a lot of these these people who are doing things within the video game movies or doing things within comic book movies is they don't respect the fan base that's already been developed. They're sitting there going, I'm not trying to get that nerd that's in his mom's basement. I'm not trying to get that nerd that's in his mom's basement that already likes this. I'm trying to get that successful businesswoman who's doing her.
Or they just want to get. They're so centered on we need new fans. It's like,
like
the person that's going to take that 14-year-old kid probably to the movie theater to see this movie is his 40 to 30 to 50-year-old dad, who's the one that had made these $1 billion enterprise.
Well, again, it goes into ignoring the fans. You're ignoring the actual fan base to try and do fan service to people who aren't interested in the first fucking place. And that's the thing that's killing a lot of the medium. It's like you have again, $1 billion industry. Haters will go to see it just so that they can hate on it properly. And what you're doing is you're ignoring printed money to try and get something shiny that isn't even there.
But part of that is on the back end. They're hiring younger writers because they want to stick with the schedule and be with what's hips. And the agenda right now is what it is, and that's fine. But whenever you've got these younger writers who are like, I'm not writing this for the, as they call it, boomers. Yeah, you're not going to appeal to us. You're going to try to appeal to these people who don't want anything to do with that.
It's not all that too, because they do have some that are not thinking that way. Like
but again,
you have two things that have come out that I think DC is doing that I'm all for if they decide to follow through with them. Which I do think, if you look at the comic books and you look at Kara Zor-El, you look at Supergirl, Millie Alcock is a perfect choice to play her.
She
looks like her.
Yeah.
But the other thing I think about doing smart, a standalone horror movie, rated R, of Clayface, being directed by the guy that did House on Hill House, Blythe Manor, Midnight Mass. That guy's a master at creepy horror.
He is. If he was working with the same team that did Penguin, I'd be more excited about it.
He is partially working with the Penguin crew, and the script ideas were coming from him in a collaboration.
Okay, then
he wants to be in the Patterson Batverse.
Okay, then I can. Then what I can do is I can suspend my doubt for that. But again, I'm just saying, it's one of those things where it's like we have a whole lot of. Sorry, I'm hooking up to power, but we have a whole lot of. There's a whole lot of stuff that.
Oh. Well, he'll join us here in a minute.
Yeah, he'll join us back in a couple of seconds, which will lead us into getting started into the next scene.
I was just about to say,
apparently his power didn't connect to power fast enough.
One of the ones that they're doing right, though, at least Marvel side, from the episode I saw, was Daredevil.
But that's because it's your Netflix crew. The people that did Netflix Daredevil, the season 2 of Daredevil on the Netflix is probably one of the best things Marvel has ever done. Like, canonically, script, just all of it. It was a perfect fucking season. All the way down to the first season of The Punisher was a perfect fucking season. Great casting, great editing, great cinematography, just all around it was perfect. And of course, that's where we're going to be going next. Is when he joins back in, we will definitely get started into the Daredevil Born Again. Because there's definitely a lot is riding on how well they execute this show. Just like right now for DC, to make or break the future of DC is going to be how Superman does.
Yes.
If Superman bombs, James Gunn's done. I do not see DC allowing him to continue moving forward with what he wants to create or come up with. You want to message 8-Ball and see if he's okay. Tell him the link that he has should still bring him back in. That's a permalink for the studio. So Sorry about the ladies and gentlemen. We'll take a quick little break and get our compadre back on here. Go figure. Technical issues before the show. He had his computer and everything set up, working great every day with everything that we got him, and then everything decided to go to shit today. There he is. Now he returns.
There he goes.
I did everything perfectly and pressed the button. I told you the curse of I'm cursed by inconvenience.
Okay, so what we're going to go into now, since you're back, is talking about Daredevil Born Again. What we've thought about the episodes that we each have seen, what we're hoping the show goes, what we thought. Like I was talking to Shark when you hopped out. Out of everything Marvel has done when it comes to their TV shows for Netflix, for all of them, the bar is set very high because Daredevil Season 2 was flawless. Punisher Season 1 was flawless. The rest of them were good in their own rights. Like, I cannot knock... there are a lot of people that knock Jessica Jones Season 1, but I'm sorry. David Tennant was fucking vicious as that character and did it good.
Yeah, Kilgrave.
Yeah, as Kilgrave, he did great, and the whole story arc they made her go through was true to the comics.
I liked Luke Cage. My problem with that series was it basically just ends.
Yeah, you got him sitting at the chair of the nightclub and nothing else. But
it
wasn't supposed to end. It was the whole.
I know it was supposed to be the.
And they already did say they are already signed to come back, but it's all going to hinder on how well Born Again does.
But let me just say this: my main problem with Luke Cage was this: how are you going to do a superhero based in Harlem, and then you're going to go ahead and base it around the nightclub and music scene of Harlem? And at no point in any of the episodes do you play. You just don't play across 110th Street, like at all. Like at no point does that come up where you just like, across 110th Street. Like it's 110. It's Harlem. It is the song. They didn't play it in not one of the episodes, and I thought that was a full disservice to the show. Knocked it all the way down to a 6 out of 10 for me.
I still rate it. I still rate it as a 7. I still rate it as a 7 because he fit the character. The one that played the bad guy running the club did damn good. The script was good. It stayed pacing good. It told you enough of his backstory to still leave some mystery to it. I mean, really what kind of killed those shows is you had the one writer strike that hit him in the middle of all of them. You had the merger that killed everything because they didn't know where the Netflix stuff was going to end up. And then on top of it, you had all those moronic doofuses bitching about Iron Fist because they never ever picked up the fucking comic. They race swapped. They whitewashed the character. It's like,
he was white from the beginning.
White, you idiots.
Right, but no. So here's.
Sorry, ears are popping.
The thing that fucked up Iron Fist was the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
The Arrowverse had already done the story, and they'd already done it so well, nobody wanted to see it again.
Yeah.
And then they weren't I'm not saying they did a bad job. Having him when they were doing that Defenders arc, that was fine. But trying to tell the origin story for him, I already saw it when I saw Arrow. Trying to tell him coming back to his whole fortune and getting it, I already saw it when they did Arrow. And it was more compelling. And it was a little bit darker. And they did it better. It's like, I don't want to see it unless it's Arrow. And that's what did...
It would have made more sense to have the Danny Rand character as a character that jumped in between...
The same way
different episodes of Luke Cage, of Jessica Jones, of Daredevil.
The same way that the Punisher did.
Then bring them together for the Defenders.
Right. It's the same. If they had introduced him the same way they introduced the Punisher, he'd have been okay.
Yeah. And Defenders would have been a lot better if it had been a bigger build-up, if they had done a different story rather than the goofy one they did. And the whole entire killing Stig halfway through it pissed so many people off.
Yeah.
Stig does not go out that way. In fact, Defenders would have been better if they had done the storyline, and it would have been even more perfect now, done the storyline of Elektra getting killed.
Yeah.
Like the actual comic book storyline of Elektra getting killed, because that would lead into, spoilers for people that haven't seen it yet, the very first episode of Born Again, why the fuck Bullseye's after Karen. Because even though he shoots Foggy wasn't the intended target. He wanted to go for Karen, but he wanted to make it personal and make her suffer. That's why in that scene he's walking up to her, mocking her. Because he was about to shoot her dead, kill her dead blank until, Matt stopped him.
But he wanted the fear of him coming up and her quaking in her boots, basically.
Yeah.
And for love of God, my only complaint about that episode is why the fuck can't they give the motherfucker a good suit? We have never had Bullseye in a good suit ever. Every damn show. The damn Affleck movie made him look stupid as shit. And this, they basically make him look like he got it at like a bad G.I. Joe resale. Like Snake Eyes turned this suit down and we're going to sell it for, scrap on wit.
You know what it is. The problem is they're trying to keep it. They're kind of trying to keep it a little bit true to the comic books. Bullseye as a character is menacing and completely fucking just badass.
Oh yeah, I mean they did perfect showing him kill the fly with a paper clip.
Yeah,
his suit has always been trash. It's always been trash. There's no iteration of him where they're showing him and he doesn't look like trash. You would just have to be brave enough to go, this is Bullseye, and then you're just gonna make him cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I guess they could have kept the suit they gave him, but give him the colors at least. Give something a little bit more to the comic.
Yeah, maybe
Instead,
not.
It was just very style and generic.
Now, give him like the silver bracers.
Yeah, that fight scene though was badass. That was a hell of a way to start an episode. Plus, I love the fact of Matt getting stuck with all the knives.
Well, and if you watch, most of the ones he gets stuck with are like ricochet ones because he can't adjust for them.
Yeah. And then I love the comments of people complaining. They're sitting there going, oh, why can I still see it even though he knocked the lights out? It's like, because they still want you to see a dumbass. That doesn't mean the character can still see. It's like he's knocking out the lights to blind the, Bullseye.
That's just chosen cognitive dissonance at that point. You're choosing to try and find something to hate. And in most cases, I don't think those are real people. I think that's just bots that they program to hate. Again, that's more of my conspiracy theories.
I've watched all the way through all 3 episodes, and I'm enjoying it. I really am. I have a lot of questions. I mean, the way the third kind of ends out, I'm just kind of like, okay, but at the same time, it makes you, with, again, like we were talking about earlier, the political climate they try to toss things into. Are we just going to go down the route of bad cops using it? Or are we going to go into the whole reason of why Marvel decided to have their balls shrivel up and change the logo on all the fucking comics right now?
Well, one thing I do like,
which that new logo, I hate to say it, I don't hate to say it, I despise that new logo. That is not Punisher. That, even if Punisher was going to redo his logo, he wouldn't make it look like a bad Canadian hockey team from Ottawa.
Right.
Oh, you're searching it up. You haven't seen it, have you?
No, I haven't seen this.
It's horrible. It is effing horrible.
Oh my god!
It literally looks like an NBA or a hockey team logo.
Like, I get you're trying to get away. You're trying to keep it there, but you're also trying to get away from the bad connotations of the old Punisher skull. But it's like, come on, dude.
But the bad connotations, like, all Marvel had to do is take a stance. It's like, who gives a shit what groups out in the real world are using it? They don't understand the point, because the Punisher would have killed half those motherfuckers.
Right? Like, I thought I was crazy for feeling that way, but right?
I think by stripping it and not using it does discredit of the good people that use that, like Chris Kyle's entire unit.
Oh yeah, no, there's tier 1s that use that logo.
I only say that I'm not look, for all of you people, I'm wearing the shirt. I served during that time. I served during that time with those people. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff coming out now where you're looking at the way that the crews and stuff conducted themselves back during that time, where you could say that you can just kind of like, but that's not the point. The point is, why did Chris Kyle's unit choose the Punisher mask? Why did they choose the Punisher skull? They chose it because they were nerds. They were nerds, and they looked at the Punisher and they said, "This is badass, and this is how we want to be represented, and we want to be representing badass stuff like that." And I get why did the cops put it on themselves? Because they wanted to feel like they were out there just dispensing justice in any way, shape, or form they wanted to. Not upholding the Constitution, maybe.
Yeah,
but it's coming.
Nobody batted an eye when either one of those did it.
But
it wasn't until a few of your William S. Pierce wannabes decided to use it that everybody freaked the fuck out.
The boarding team that I was on, we were rocking wristbands, black wristbands that had the Death Eaters logo on it. So like. And I mean, you want to get into problematic. Like people hear me say something like that, and they're like, "Oh my god!" But don't you understand that they were the Wizarding World Nazis? And I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't care. It looked badass, and we wanted to feel badass while we were over there." Like,
you do things for the love.
You do things for the love of the medium that it came from. So respect the medium that it came from and just do what you're going to do. The Punisher's like, I don't really care. Like, if you want to break it down to brass tacks, the Punisher's not a hero, and he's not a good guy. He kills people.
He has never once ever said he was.
He's an anti-hero.
He's not even an anti-hero.
No, he's a vigilante, and he knows it. He is a man on one disc. He is a man on a singular purpose, knowing that all that waits for him is eventually the death that he actually wants.
He explained.
He just does never die. Wait, he keeps making it out of it.
You explained it perfectly, but he explained it perfectly. Everybody's just one bad day away from being me. He's not just talking about heroes. Villains are one bad day away from being the Punisher. Everybody is one bad day away from just taking a gun and going around and dispensing the justice that you want to see in the world. Be the change that you want to see in the world. But,
oh, great. That's how the pod gets known for. These three guys excite somebody to go do something. Oh, God.
We invited the black veteran on, and all of a sudden, anarchy.
To change the subject away from Daredevil real quick, just because I got to ask your question on it. How is your take when we were talking a while back at a Hunter's place? We got into that quick discussion of like the whole Little Mermaid, the race swaps, and everything like that. I realized something I had never noticed.
It's always the gingers?
Yes. Why are they picking the most minimally marginalized, smallest white minority?
Listen.
I mean, we all know you ain't got souls, but come on.
Again, this is going to be my conspiracy theory and all of it. It's the same letters.
Oh my God, I never even saw that.
I did, but I didn't think you were going to go.
Wow.
All it is, all gingers are black people with no soul.
Then what's up with Snape?
Snape is not a ginger.
I know. Why are they?
Oh, you're talking about
Snape?
I don't know.
I will tell you.
Okay, I will say this real quick, and then you can hop in. My issue, I don't care if they change a lot of the characters. The problem with Snipe is one of the few characters in the book that is so vividly and accurately described on how greasy, black, soulless, white, pale his ass is.
Nose.
Plus, as other content creators has pointed out, how problematic is it when a black man, and God forbid they race swap Hermione, sits there and calls another, and they're probably going to race swap her black, calls another black girl mudblood, filthy mudblood.
Right?
Hard M.
Don't give them ideas. Bad enough there's like a list of words ever changing on social media you can't say anymore.
You know what? The unaliving move, that's what I call with the word swapping. The unaliving movement bothers me because it takes away the seriousness of the stuff that gets talked about.
Words have power, and words are meant to convey an emotion, and by stripping it of that emotion, you literally do disservice to any victim that word is associated with.
Exactly. But to get into
R
the point,
should be R, and it should be said as R because of the severity of what the piece of crap that has done it has done. Slide should be what it is because you are watching someone do the ultimate thing you can't turn away from, and watching the destruction of the lives that are left behind.
Right. Like I said, the whole unaliving movement in itself is a disservice to everybody else.
Because they're vile ass fuckers that shouldn't exist.
They really shouldn't. I wholeheartedly believe that they should not exist. Anyway, now we got to go back. Now we got to go back to magical children.
Oh, we're going to get into some of that in one of our last topics.
Oh yeah, but the swapping
to forbidden jutsu topic.
Oh yes,
there's a lot in there that I didn't know about until Shark shit knew some names, and after a few episodes, even I'm just like, okay, and I thought the tentacle shit back in the 80s was bad.
No, it gets
that was just creeping the door open. Apparently, somewhere in the 90s, they kicked that door over and said, "Fuck it."
Right off the hinges.
Yeah. But the way I feel about them as far as race swap and Snape and all sorts of other things and stuff like that, it's tokenism. It's tokenism, and it's also trying to have a public showing of a slap in the face to the creator.
But the crazy part is she's agreed on it.
No. She agreed on it. She's agreed on a whole lot of stuff, but she's agreed on a whole lot of stuff basically off of the backlash that she's received. Granted, she's never changed her stance on the stuff that she believes and feels. And me personally, I think that we should really, really take a good hard look at separating creators from their creations with the way that we see them, because everybody wants to talk about Hemingway. And they put a broad stroke on him like Hemingway, and he was a genius, and he was great, and he was this, that, and the other. I'm like, Hemingway was a dude who lived in a quote unquote problematic time who was dealing with PTSD.
He was a drunk, he was a womanizer, he was everything that modern society hates.
Dealing with PT, like he was just a dude
not to mention came back high society, and so much at the end went to a remote island and lived with thousands of fucking cats.
Yeah.
Again, he's a vet. He fought what is it, the Spanish Civil War, whatever, there.
Well, remember, going back to words have power, thanks to George Carlin, they did that. He pointed out what they were doing decades ago.
Yeah,
they changed PTSD literally has no humanity in it. It doesn't invoke any type of invoke any emotions, but the words shell shocked did.
Yeah. The words battle fatigue.
When we started seeing words change, was shell shocked became PTSD.
Battle fatigue was a thing. Battle fatigue was where it started.
Yeah. And it tells everything you needed to know. You don't need to guess.
You've seen too much.
You know exactly what the fuck they're talking about. Even if you had never heard the word before, it tells you everything.
Well, it wasn't even just the PTSD. It was the fact that all these people are like, oh, well, okay, so they've seen some shit. They've seen shit. Not only have you and I, for instance, seen shit, but we were told, get the F over it.
Right.
You got a job to do.
Right.
I don't freaking go.
Right now, I'm mad at the military, so it's gonna sound weird the way I say this. I'm sorry, you get away. You say, "Hey, we're not gonna do DEI anymore," and then you say stupid shit like, "Well, now we don't have to teach about the Tuskegee Airmen." That's Air Force history.
Yeah.
Now we
don't
have
Enola Gay because they're trying to cut the gay out.
We'll remove gay from the actual. It's like you've got a Medal of Honor winner with the last name Gay. You got the Enola Gay. You've got. Wait, we're not going to talk about the different things in history. Okay, so you're not going to talk about. Oh God, I can't remember what her name was, but the woman who dressed up as a dude to fight in the Revolutionary War.
Oh shit!
We don't remember that name either.
Yeah, we don't have to get into that. We don't have to get into the name of that right now. Yeah, somebody in the comments is going to do it.
They can't go from doing just one thing and understanding we're stopping this because of this. That's all you got to do. They've got to go to some over extreme to either prove a point or just show how inept they are.
It's not really to prove a point. It's basically. It's a taking off of the hood, and this is conspiracy talk with me right now. It's a taking off of the hood. Everybody who sat there and said, "Okay, we'll get rid of DEI practices, we'll get rid of the DEI things," the very second that he said, "Hey, I'm going to do away with DEI," it showed where their mindset really was, because even they don't understand what it is. The military exists because of DEI. The whole premise of the volunteer force that we have here in America is DEI. Hey, do you live disadvantaged? Do you live in a place where you can't possibly get ahead?
We can make you equal.
Join the military. You serve for this long, you'll get this training. And you'll be able to do this thing. Now, you and I both have that setting of, well, the military didn't really teach me how to do anything but be homeless. But taught me how to be homeless successfully. But it does do that for disadvantaged people. It takes you from the trailer park. It takes you from the hood. It takes you from the barrio. It takes you from whatever place that you want to say, the sticks. It takes you from all of these places, and then it puts you in a melting pot, and it says, here are some skills, here are some training. Depending on the branch you get into, here's a nice world view. Here's travel. Here's all of the exotic lands and all of the brown people you can shoot at. It's there, but it's there for you to do that. It's DEI. It's DEI for poor white guys. It's DEI for poor brown people. It's DEI for poor black kids. It's DEI for rich black kids. It's the whole military as a concept is nothing but DEI. Everything they started talking about, well, we don't have to talk about this anymore, has nothing to do with being woke, has nothing to do with being gay appreciative, has nothing to do with any of those things. It's literally military history. Gays have served in the military since the onset of the military. How do I know this? Every branch calls every other branch gay.
Yeah.
Women have served in the military, and it was a big deal of getting them into the military. But women have been the backbone or a part of the military since the founding of the country. We don't want to tell that story. Black people have been in the military, serving in warfare for this country, and even since the founding and before, back when we were under the king, since before. As long as the United States has existed, as long as the colonies have existed, there have been black people who have served this country in an armed capacity. We don't want to talk about that. That's DEI. How's that DEI? That's literally the history of the founding of what
that's heritage. We understand this better than most.
Wait. How are you going to throw a Confederate flag up and act like black people didn't serve in the Confederate Army? Now, They may not have volunteered for it, but they served in the Confederate Army. When you throw that flag up and talk about it's about heritage, that's DEI.
So what you're saying is for the people that need a humorous anecdote to all of this is during the war between the North and the South, the black people that fall on the side of the Confederates were basically how South Park got the Get Behind Operation Behind the Darkies.
Sort of. The South had a finite amount of resources and stuff like that. So you had a lot of young men that were going off to war and everything else and stuff like that. You still had
a lot of rich black slave owners that had
yes, yeah. I'm not forgiving it. But what you had was this influx of people leaving that needed to be replaced to do different jobs. So a lot of logistic work got done by by slaves. And it even got done with the concession of you could earn freedom papers for it. Same way the British did it. Almost the exact same way the British did it. So the South was doing that. The South did that. And I'm not excusing slavery. I'm not saying slavery was a voluntary state of choice. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm not Kanye. I don't have the money to be Kanye. As a student, as a veteran, and as a student of history, I just know that if you need trenches dug and you don't have enough men to dig the trenches, those trenches got dug by black people. Like you were in Vicksburg. There were black people in Vicksburg. You just had them dig the trenches. It's not like they could say no. But that's still in service to the military. That's still in service to the army. Sherman had a whole follow-on set of black people that were following him as he marched through the South because they were basically at that point refugees and they were just following on with him and stuff like that. He didn't want them there. He didn't. And he writes about how they were a hindrance and everything else. But did he use them? Yes.
You gonna stick around? I'll put you to work.
He used them as stretcher bearers. He used them as cooks and everything else and stuff like that. He used them as camp cleaners and everything else. And in extreme cases, some of his underling generals and some of his underling units used them as conscripted fighters. Well, not fighters, but you get what I'm saying. Like they threw them in and sent them out on like scavenging parties and shit like that. Like they did. They used black people. But anyway, my whole point was, when they said we're getting rid of it, and all of these people went ahead and said, okay, great. They showed what their real face was. They showed how they really believe in people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a race thing, because it's not just a race thing. They showed how they feel about women. They showed how they feel about the poor. They showed how they feel about disenfranchised people. They showed it. They showed where their loyalties really lie when it comes to things. So you have to allow those people to be those people. That's who they are. And you can deal with them on the set of, okay, that's who you are. That's how you're going to be fine. Then I got to deal with you at this distance. But that is what it is. There's no forgiving that. You don't have to forgive that. You just have to move on with what's going on and stuff like that. But yeah, the military getting rid of DEI is stupid because that is military heritage.
Well, I think it's funny how literally the administration said, delete the gay.
Yeah, that's stupid. It is stupid. Wait,
pictures of the gay.
Hold on. We've gone way off the rails from where
you know what? I just realized. I'm sorry.
Let's leave this to the last subject. We kind of got into the warning zone without the warning zones. Right? So, we're going to take a quick break here to reset and jump into the content creator spotlight before we hop into the next one. I think we probably save talking about the verse till next podcast. A-Ball doesn't play, so it's kind of like, don't really want you sitting there being like, what the fuck these nerds talking about?
Well, first of all, I watch YouTube. I watch YouTube and I watch a lot of gameplay for certain things. I haven't watched Star Citizen. I'm not gonna lie, but
don't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
it is the only game in existence that literally has every type of gameplay in it in some form or fashion.
Well, I mean, my whole thing is I want to get a PC so that I can start playing these games. I've been involved in the console war since consoles started. So
I think all of us were.
Yeah. So like
I still got an Atari 2600 and a Pong machine in the attic.
I have a PlayStation 2 set up in my parents' house. So like,
first video games I played was on an Apple II.
So like,
my PC gaming started on an Amigo. Yeah, Amigo 26. Was it K2600?
Oregon Trail. I don't even know what. I don't know what the
computer was on a Mac.
Like,
it was at school. It was on a Mac.
But Ryan, if you want to come over, you can. I'll let you fly all you want.
I may do that. Also, we still have to build the thing that I can't talk about on YouTube because,
Yes.
Yeah, he's been picking my brain about that.
I've been trying to figure out. I've been trying to figure out a good a load for it. So
4 inches around.
Okay.
People can interpret that so many different directions right now.
And that's exactly how I'm going to leave it too. Up to
all right, so let's hop into the content creator spotlight. So this is the part segment of our podcast that we would take rotations picking the content creators that we'd like to call out. Last episode was Sharks, so this goes as mine. And then, of course, in our show in 2 weeks will be 8Ball's first time to pick a content creator or content creators that he would like to shout out. Oh, I can already see your brain spinning on that one. So the first one that we have today that we're going to talk about that I wanted to shout out has actually 2 channels. The first channel is called SWOOP, and her second channel is actually called SWOOPTOO. So for her main channel, she basically takes everybody, she likes to call it, to Petty University, and she does deep dives into basically things around social media, influencers, the whole YouTube, Instagram spectrum, and TikTok and all of that. I just like her because she's very funny. She deep dives into a lot of things, and as she says, she likes taking it to Petty University. It is funny because I don't know who half of these people of these documentaries I watch because I'm not in the influencer scene. In fact, I think influence needs to, the whole terminology needs to fuck off and die. But yeah, if you want somebody that's fun to watch, fun to listen to if you're driving, may give you insight into some things you may have heard a little bit about, like case in point, the first video here, the Casey Anthony situation that happened 2 years ago. She's very informative when she gets in, does very good deep dives. On her second channel is SWOOPTOO, is where you dip into the cesspool. Anybody in any media space that has gone viral for anything bad or suspected materials, she kind of breaks down those channels and goes after those people. Just, again, like I said, very funny investigative journalism, and is not afraid that when she goes biased and petty, literally says, here's my feelings, here's what happens, here's how it happened, I really believe this shit, and calls it out. I like people that are very straightforward and don't try to sugarcoat that they already have an issue with the situation they're jumping into. And then the last one we're going to call it today is good friends of mine that I used to work with at Black Rifle Coffee, one of them being my first boss that I had, and one of them being one of the second supervisors, started recently their own podcast called the DingDingDing Podcast. So if you are a fan of wrestling and really love wrestling, give them a shout out, because the main host has a lot of experience in and out of the wrestling world. My boss is ex-boss Trey is the co-host. He's kind of the historian nut and basically gives his take on matches and upcoming stuff. Basically, he's the knowledge base of the show. And then the other person who worked at Black Rifle with me, named Chino, is on the show. Chino has spent 20 plus years in the semi-professional wrestling world as a wrestler. So you're kind of getting the manager's perspective, the diehard fan historian perspective, and the actual wrestler perspective of matches, events, history. And so far they've gotten 4 episodes out, and they're kind of growing from there. So definitely, if you love wrestling, give them a check out, give them a shout out, give them a subscribe. And those are basically my picks for the content creators for this this spotlight. So definitely, if you're watching, go check out their channels, give them a subscribe, comment, like, you know the drill.
Text me the ding ding dong.
The ding 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 one.
Yeah, just so I have it. Just so I have it later, because I am a huge wrestling fan. I'm a complete mark. So,
all right. So the next subject that we're going to go into today is called Forbidden Jutsu. We are going to dip our toes into the world of disturbing anime, starting from how is this legal to why in the ever-loving fuck was this made and made for who? So as we jump into the next two segments, the anime one and our final segment for tonight, well, just listen to what's about to happen.
Warning, this is your only warning. The following preceding events may be deemed sensitive, and if you were easily offended, now is your time to leave. If you have a sense of humor and are not easily offended, please put your seatbelt on, keep your hands inside the vehicle, and enjoy the ride.
All right, so to kick this one off, I decided I would start at what I deemed for many years as being probably one of the most disturbing animes I had seen, only to realize until we started deep diving into this subject that some of the newer ones blow this one out of the damn water. So my first two to start us off. One is considered one of the most disturbing psychological animes ever made, and that is Perfect Blue.
ooh,
The second one is what started the birth of hentai tentacle porn, Yusasuke Doge, Legend of the Overfiend, which basically is a story of a bunch of demons running around raping women until they blow up. Until the demon lord, who is stuck in a virgin boy, finds the girl that can actually harness his power and they can both climax together, in which he then turns into a huge-ass 100-foot demon that is set to basically grape and destroy the entire world by graping everything. The methodology of this anime was to, in 1985, get teenagers to abstain from sex.
you know what? Just because I know, being someone who lived in Japan and understanding, seeing how some of the older generation of Japanese people were and stuff like that, I get it. I get where they thought that was. The problem was they didn't account for Americanized perversion, where we can watch that and be like, so.
Yeah. For context for you younger people jumping in very quickly, at the time that this anime came out, the only porn you could find was on these big cassettes called VHSs in the back room of store rental places or shady mail order companies. Unless you actually had a way to switch between cable and jump, you basically had to flip between channels and catch the side boob in between the scramble.
The scramble.
Or if you were rich enough to have satellite and have Cinemax, which at that time was known as Skinemax.
I think the scramble's the main reason I can watch like stuff that's rendered poorly, and I'm just like, I know exactly what that is.
Remember when we were all growing up? Don't sit too close to TV; you'll ruin your vision. You'll go blind. It's
you'll go blind.
No, it wasn't that made us go blind. It's when you go back and you look at some of the shows we watched, the resolution was so much shit. It was the resolution that was making you go blind.
Well, and
it's pretty bad when we got definition so high that I turn my monitor on to an 8K video and I'm getting a suntan from the fucker.
I do want to get into the fact that I listened to the synopsis for the tentacle one because I hadn't seen it. I've seen Perfect Blue. I hadn't seen.
It is oddly enough a very hard one to find in the simple fact that no streaming service has it. You won't find it online. You would still have to buy the video.
Well, I see the still, but my main thing is this: I'm listening to the synopsis of it. And I can understand how somebody who heard that, who may not have seen that or may not know what that is, will be like, "Oh, that's really fucking silly. That's stupid, man. Who's gonna watch that shit?" Y'all are watching Dan to Dan Dan. Like, y'all are watching Dan to Dan. That whole show is about a demon witch taking a dude's balls and him trying to get them back.
Yeah. Well, that leads into like if this is our starting point, if this is our starting point, then you jump. You jump to the next level. The next level being shows like Fooly Cooley and Bible Black.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody want to summarize Bible Black?
No. I can't think of the unaliving words to say to make it YouTube friendly.
Yeah.
You know what? I can do this. We're gonna pull up a quick image, and it's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nobody can see that. We're all zooming in our own screens.
Yeah, it's like everybody's getting real close and squinting.
Right? Yeah, it's not gonna pop open for me here, but yeah, no, it's it's self-explanatory.
I can put it this way: the modern ones that I think people should watch that are kind of forbidden juju, and not really. Like Netflix is putting out a bunch of stuff that's actually really good, and I know it's not Netflix. Like I know they're really getting it from other places and stuff like that, and it just happens to go. Red Blood Cell.
It's never gotten or lost.
Well, yeah, but Red Blood Cell is really good, and it seems kind of innocent because you're like, oh, cool. It's about a red blood cell running around inside of a body or whatever and stuff like that. The erection episode and the gonorrhea episode. That's all. I'm just gonna say that. I'm not gonna say anything else about it. Just that.
Yeah. Let's see. That raises a question, and we haven't even hit the tip of the icebergs yet. Right. I mean, you got the one that Shark decided to tell me about that I made it halfway through the first episode and was just like, why? Shark, would you like to say this one?
Dance in the Vampire Bund.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Premise.
I'm like, why does this character need to be naked this much?
Premise is the female queen of the vampires in Japan has created a trash island for vampires. Caveat, she's like 12 and naked like 75% of the time.
And the justification is because she's hundreds of years old, it's okay. Yeah.
No, dude.
All the way down to the art style of drawing her, I'm just even like, this is the, like, I need to go take it. I need to clean myself off. I'm still so dirty just watching this. Yes. That just
brings up, I know, that just brings up the Twilight paradox.
The Twilight paradox is even worse.
Yeah.
I had a lady. Okay. So when Twilight first came out, I was still driving a cab at that time. I ended up at like damn near midnight for the midnight release, picking up this lady and her daughter and two of her daughter's giggly, cackly friends. Cause this is prior to everybody just texting in vehicles. People still communicated. And, so I picked this lady up and I'm like, I had to ask, so where are we going? And she's like, we're going to the movie theater. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, your daughter's like 12 and you're out at midnight. It's like great parenting, mom. And and then she's like, there were the new Twilight movies coming out. And I just go, oh God. And she goes, what, you don't like them? I go, the daughters were behind, so they couldn't hear. They were listening to their music and doing their shit. So I look over at the mom. I go, have you ever analyzed the ideology of that story? She goes, well, what do you mean? And I go, well, it's a girl fighting between a love interest of two people. One is a lycanthrope. The other one is 100-year-old undead creature. So what you're summing it up is the girl is trying to pick between bestiality or necrophilia. Not to mention a necrophiliac pedophile.
You know what the worst part about that?
Said it. Kick me out. Do whatever you want. I don't care.
You know what the worst part about that is, though? Like even in that, Jacob was at least her age.
Yeah, but he's still a dog.
No, I'm just saying.
Their werewolves weren't anamorphic. They were the woof woof woof.
What do you got against furries?
Yeah,
beyond furry. This is the furry's real furry that nobody taught that they bring to shows.
No. But I mean, like, I'm looking at stuff like that. Like, at least he's her age, so there's that. That's a little less creepy to me, even with the bestiality portion of it, because lycanthrope. But also in that, he then turns into the P himself by imprinting on her daughter. If you read the books, it is not explained. It is not explained the same way in the movies.
It's even worse.
Yes.
The fuck is wrong with Hollywood and these people?
Look.
We already know Epstein list ain't ever coming out. There's too much Hollywood in there.
True.
But
the whole goddamn industry.
But Diddy gets to go to jail.
That's because
he's a fall guy.
No. He deserves to go to jail.
I'm looking at jail, but the main reason I think he really got caught is it's too loud about it, and then when people go do search your house and they find gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons of baby oil, even they're just kind of like, no motherfucker needs this baby oil.
I hate when people bring it up because it makes me sound like I'm defending him. That is not illegal.
I know it's not illegal, but that's just kind of like if you walk into somebody's house and they got a sex swing and 9 refrigerators full of whipped cream, you're just gonna be like, we know.
But like I'm saying that in and of itself is not any kind of thing that's a crime. Because I'm like, I know how many bottles of baby oil we had to buy to fill up the kiddie pool so that we could watch people do oiled wrestling at the barracks. Like I know how many.
The KY fights.
And maybe I'm just defending myself. Maybe I'm just defending my youth. Back when I was a superhero, but like,
it's not a sundae, it's a banana split.
You know what's sad? There are people that are not going to there are people that are listening to this right now that are adults that are not going to get that reference because they never saw that movie.
Yeah, I know. Oh
man. No, but it's that's like I got into a discussion the other day with somebody that they were talking about, just bringing up Epstein's name kicked it into my head, and we'll get back to the anime subject in a second here. I just got to bring this point. It is kind of anime because the artwork was painting.
Yeah.
Anybody that questions the whole Billy Clinty boy not being there, being there,
the
not
picture,
being there.
The picture above the mantle.
Painting in Epstein's main home of Bill Clinton in a dress on that same couch that's in that room isn't sexual. That's him showing everybody that enters that room, and every time Bill entered that room, everything I have on you, you're my bitch. And people seem to forget when that time that painting happened, he was the sitting president of the United States.
You know what? But my last political point, I'm not going to say anything else political. I promise you guys, I'm not going to say anything else political. I promise I'm not going to say anything else political. Anyway, my last political thing is he sold Trump his wife. So I don't understand like how they try to act like it isn't everybody. Like,
no, everybody, the people don't understand that if you were that rich in New York, everybody of that rich stature knew each other and partied together. That is not a large group of circle of people. So everybody knew him.
But he has
pisses me off. It's like, well, Trump knew him. It's like everybody knew him. We're not arguing who knew him. We're arguing who went to the goddamn island.
Oh, we already know Trump went. But anyway, like I said, somewhere in the ledgers is a whole ass receipt for Trump's wife. So.
Well, I'd just be more interested in the fact that we already have hinting that in those ledgers is going to be multiple trips of not just Bill but Hillary.
Oh yeah, no, that's going to be.
Yeah, but we all know that ain't never going to happen. They've had years to destroy all of that, So getting back on subject, so we've already tipped the iceberg. Now we're going to go kicking over the precipice just a little bit more. Wicked City and Bondage Game.
Wicked City was good.
I never watched Bondage Game.
It gets up there. I mean, it's in the damn title.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is we're talking about these darker animes and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of like mainstream animes, and right now the name is escaping me, but there's the one where it's basically the teens go in and they're gambling they're like gambling, but it's like a whole bunch of different thrills and stuff like that, and it gets into the hypersexual, then it gets into like a lot of like just blood spilling and all sorts of other stuff. Like
that kind of jumps us to our top of the disturbing list, which is School Days.
Oh shit! Yeah.
An anime that literally falls in the category of who is this made for and why the fuck does this exist?
Yeah. And here you go. Let's make out with the severed head.
Yeah. Hold on. What do you want? Oh, you're not getting that. You wanted to be in here, Fuzzball. You're staying in here.
School Days was the one anime. Like I've watched plenty of stuff and I'll giggle. I've watched everything. I've watched hentai, you name it. School Days was the one
behind me finally.
Oh, there it is.
In the darkness.
School Days was the one that literally made me go, "What the fuck?" Excuse me, what? Oh, there's a fuzzy little butthole.
Can I say hi? Yeah, go over there. Come on. All right, go get back in trouble.
Sorry, ADD moment. Jonesy.
Right. Jonesy.
No. Like 3 days ago, I was sitting there going, "What was the name of the damn cat from Aliens?"
Jonesy. Yeah, her cat.
Yeah.
Like I said, ADD. As I said, ADD moment. Jonesy. Because it just popped in, but that's been bothering me for 2 days. Because I said, I think I'm gonna get. I think I'm gonna get a pet. If I get a pet, I'm gonna get a cat, and if I get a cat, I'm gonna name it Jonesy. Or at the time, I said I'm gonna name it the name of the cat that was in Aliens, and then I was like, what was the name of that cat in Aliens? God damn! And then 2 days of just being down in a hole about that.
So, can we also talk about the fact that at one point, for those who don't watch anime and don't know this, Japan changed the color of blood from red
to white?
Yeah.
Well, they did it. The Chinese are actually doing it right now in their country to do stuff. And like, if you look at clips that they have from like Dragon Ball, if you look at clips that they have from like a whole bunch of other stuff, it is hilarious. They did. I can't remember who the creator was, but he did a clip where he was showing the scene where was a white tiger or whatever from Invincible was fighting Mark in the building, and then he kind of like squishes his.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were showing how it was edited for China, and it was white, and it was just it looked terrible.
That's a whole nother level of suggestion there. Oh man, imagine if
my
Disney
brain doesn't
that.
think that too deep in it. I just think you see white blood. I'm sitting there going, "Wow, Sin City did it first."
Yeah,
but there's actually like.
But there's comic book
like
how you make a comic book movie perfect. Sin City.
Yeah, keep the comic book aspect of it. Sin City 2. I'm gonna say the controversial thing. Sin City 2 was fucking great. I don't care how everybody wants to sit there and go, "Oh no, it was a cash grab and they did this and it was bad." It was good. It was great. It actually pairs with the original. Perfectly.
The only reason people say it is because of the time frame it took for it to come out from the original.
Oh yeah, no, that was definitely bad.
Nobody would have thought anything about it.
There's a whole lot of medians that are doing that shit right now. Aliens is doing that shit, and they're driving me crazy right now because I really need them to just release whatever the show is that they're going to do on Hulu so I can watch it.
Oh, Alien Earth?
Yes.
Yeah. Hold on real quick. I'm going to let her out.
All right. I just want them to give me that universe.
And
I'm not gonna lie. I want them to Jack Ryan the Aliens universe because I want to get rid of Aliens 3 and I want to get rid of Aliens 3 as it stands to give me Aliens 3 as it could have been. Because when they released the script and when they released it as the comic, and I looked at the comic and everything else, and I'm like, this would have been so much more of a better movie. And you would have still had the people involved in it, and it would have faded into everything else like it was supposed to. I want them to do that. I want them to Jack Ryan it, and then I want them to bring in the books. I want them to bring in River of Pain. I want them to bring in what's the three? River of Pain, Out of the Shadows, and I can't remember what the third book was, but there's like off the top of my head, but there was 3 books that they wrote that were just perfect inline sequels and stuff like that of stuff that happened within the Aliens universe that canonically, if you put it in there and put it together, it'd be great. If you want to do a spin-off, if you want to do a spin-off standalone series that you can actually do with aliens that has nothing to do with any of the main story, please, for the love of God, not just Alien Earth, because I do want to see what they do, but please, for the love of God, do Phalanx. Aliens Phalanx, take that and turn that into a limited series with the ability to expand it into an actual series within the Aliens universe, because that book.
On the subject of books, you'll love this. 8 Ball Shark was maybe when I picked it up. I've got literally 1 through 6 first printing of Sin City, That Yellow Bastard.
Oh,
CGC graded at 9.6, all signed by Frank Miller.
Oh.
And guess what I picked up yesterday?
What'd you get?
In a 9.2 graded. Uncanny X-Men 288, first appearance of Gambit. Yeah, that was sitting on the shelf, and I looked at Adam, and I go, mine.
What'd you pay for that?
Which one?
The Gambit. Yeah.
$250.
That's not bad.
Not bad for
not bad
at all.
9 above first
Yeah,
appearance.
a 9 grade.
How old that book is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Sin City one sent me back, and he's
for
hunting
the
down
people
the other
watching
stories.
For the people watching the podcast that don't understand how nerding out goes, especially if you're not a comic book nerd, what he's talking about is he's talking about the age of the comic, and he's also talking about the condition that the comic was in. And the older you get, and the older and better that you get, the more expensive that it gets, and it starts getting into prices that look ridiculous if you're an average person.
Shark, can you pop up a picture real quick of what a CGC graded book looks like?
Yes,
So
I can.
when a comic book is sent off to CGC, which is Comic Book Gradings Council, they are the authority on determining the scoring of how near mint the book is, kind of like they do with baseball cards and everything. But what's different with a comic is once they grade it, it is hermetically sealed in one of those cases. So as long as that case is never damaged or open for its life, that is its score. And that actually one right there, which issue is that?
Spring issue number 1.
Oh shit, that's
it's the 1940s number 1.
Dude,
that's the one.
That's literally like millions of dollars sitting right there.
Yeah.
In that picture. That is like one of the unobtainable comics at that grading.
Yeah.
Multi-billion-dollar industry, and you act like the fans aren't important.
Yeah. Have any of y'all watched the documentary Selling Superman?
I saw it. It escapes me because it's one of those things where I watched it and then I didn't rewatch it.
His father built, and we're not talking just rare comics. We're talking like they would open a box and he would have like the Crow #1 first printing in flawless condition, and in binders behind it, 20 more. He bought 10 to 20 of everything when they came out. Not to mention the highest graded first appearance of Superman comic ever in existence.
That is just
so much of a large collection that now CGC, all of his comics, when they get graded, it has its own custom header in the encasement called the Fantastic collection. Yeah, trust me, when I have money saved up, I'm reaching out to him. I want my Crow #1. I had one years ago and stupidly sold it and wish I never had. Because what the #1s are going for right now and the #1s of The Walking Dead are going for is ridiculous. I literally have locked in the back room every major issue. So like the first appearance of Michonne, first appearance of the Governor, first appearance of Negan, death of Glenn, the final issue, the death of Rick. All I'm missing is #1. All of them are 9.8.
Oof.
Yeah, I want a #1 9.8 so I can frame them all together with I have a piece of actual original oil canvas art done by the original creator. That's going to go right here on that wall whenever the fuck I finally get
See, and I'm not even a casual when it comes to that. Like I see comic books and I'm like, ooh, let me read this.
Well, see, I still do that. It's just I have the ones I've read, and I have the ones that are the collector ones.
Like, no, I'm just saying, I crack the seal, and then I do that. I'm looking at some of the places that resell things like the GI Joes and toys and stuff like that, and I'm remembering my old toy collection, and I'm just like, I played with that shit and broke all that shit. Then when I figured out how I could take the bodies apart with the screw in the back, I started mismatching. I started mismatching bodies and stuff like that to make my own. It got bad. It got bad.
Well, dude, some of them you instantly the first time you played it lost some of the pieces. I mean, what was it?
Yeah.
The original Snake Eyes came with how many goddamn attachments?
The backpack, 2 guns, and then sword and
the backpack, the wolf, two guns, and then a pistol.
The one that got me, the one that killed me was mine was Ninja Turtles. Had the box case, everything for them, right? And there was Crane, and you had all these little pieces you could put in there with them, and then fill it with water, and you put a little stuff in and make it into slime, and all those little like pieces would disappear quick as hell. Or the big flying mosquito that was like a transport.
The only toy I still have that I kept that is complete, and I never knew how rare it was until years ago when I finally found out how rare it was, is I have complete with no damage Jetfire. Transformers. And I never realized, like, I love that character, and it was only in 2 episodes, and I could have never understood why did they kill this character off. And then I found out about the Macross Plus Hasbro. That they ripped the character off from Macross Plus.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't rip the character off. They just ripped the design.
It was designed.
A jet in the paint job was literally just a blatant copy.
Well, and what's really funny? Pound Puppies.
Yeah.
My wife has her original Pound Puppy in the box. Just sitting in the shed, like.
Nice.
The hell?
I mean, I'd bring it in the house maybe, but like.
Nice. No, it's sealed up, but made sure of that. But yeah, it's like, what? Who knew that Pound Puppies were going to go for like $4,000 a pop?
Because somebody who loved them got rich.
I mean, think about it. What was it? I was watching Pawn Stars, and this guy came in with the head, just the head of a toy. And Rick chewed out, I guess it was Chum, because Chum bought it for like $1,000. He's like, why'd you buy $1,000 for a fucking head? And then the toy guy that he goes through comes over, and the toy guy's eyes just light up. And apparently it was the villain of Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Bodies only got destroyed. He's like, even the head goes for like thousands of dollars because everybody threw this toy away. They didn't like it. So it's now the rarity of the damn thing. Like, you never know. I mean, shit, we had all the Star Wars toys. We didn't think about keeping them.
Yo, I did.
How many of those rare?
I had the little action figures that had the straight arms.
Yeah,
I had those when I lived in England.
Yeah, my grandparents. The only nice thing they ever did for me, and my mom's parents, was the one Christmas they bought me the Darth Vader carrying case, and I thought they just bought me the case. And when I opened it up, like it had a sign to go to one of the other rooms in the house, and literally on the bed was like they bought one of every of the ones of the ones that came out for Empire. And yeah, I had like a few of them, but most of them are gone.
The Masters of the Universe.
Oh yeah,
I had the original
Moss
Man Arms.
You know what I had up until like a few years ago? I had a Thundercracker from Transformers. And I don't know what happened to it. I think it got thrown out with some of my stuff.
Okay.
Honestly, I think some of the cooler toys when I was growing up, even though the show didn't do too well and they kind of faded out as fast as they came in, the Mask toys were good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the creepier ones, the Inhumanoid toys.
What was the one with the dude? What was the one with the dudes on the zip lines?
Oh, yeah, it had the little suction cup thing.
Yeah, because that cartoon and those characters came out at the same time
as Silverhawks
toys that had the holograms in their chests.
Yeah.
Yes.
What were those called?
How do we go from hentai and dark anime to?
All nerd.
I must say it's all animation. It's all our childhood. I mean, half the anime these people are watching, getting into, half of them started when we were kids. Like all these kids jumping, oh my god, Pokemon's so amazing! It's such a cool, unique, and new thing. It's like, no,
you don't know anything about Charizard.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still wondering what happened to the philosophy of there was only supposed to be 100.
Here goes my nerd. When Pokemon hit America and became big, I had just finished high school. I went to a Pokemon tournament with my OG brick Game Boy running Pokemon Blue and fought against Nintendo, who were the last battle people, and ended up being 75% of them, so that I could get a numbered Mew before Mew was a thing. I had a certificate and everything. I'd still got pictures from going to the event where I was just killing people. I wish I still had those cards. Sold too early.
I think my level of nerd was when I was giving it the good old college try. In the cafeteria, they used to have Magic the Gathering games going on at the table. So me and this other dude, and keep in mind, I've never played Magic the Gathering. I understand the concept of the game, but like for some reason the card games just never really appealed to me. But I'm watching them play. I had a dude who explained the rules to me, and then we started going into commentating. And I'm talking full commentating. I'm full Howard Cosell here, looking at this exchange of champions. Like went full on nerd into it, just doing that. And we used to do that every day at school. It would be like the tournaments, and I'd be like, here we come straight from the dome.
Our school actually banned Magic the Gathering from the school.
Because of its the connotations.
Yeah. It was a religious school.
Never got into it, but I had binders of cards that I could sell for tons of money.
We have to protect the children from what? From the card game they're playing. But what about spades? But what about spades? Oh no, you can do spades tournament. You do rummy.
Oh, no, D&D was same round at the school, because I went to a private school that was religiously affiliated.
Yeah, they were definitely against Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah,
it has Dungeons and Dragons in it.
Every generation has something that they go after.
I do get mad at the generational amnesia that people want to get because certain things come out that are cool now, and the Stranger Things D&D concept to me was perfect. And then people everywhere started coming out going, well, I'm a nerd because I played Dungeons and Dragons once and this, that, and the other. I was like, no, you don't get to claim that title. Did you get bullied for it? Did people come after you calling you a devil worshiper because you played that game? Did people want to fight you and take your lunch money because you were playing that game and stuff like that? Like, did you lose friends because I know for a fact the majority of those nerds hid the fact that they were nerds. Dungeons and Dragons was this taboo thing you did along with swinging and BDSM and furries. Like, I'm just saying, like, yeah.
Character sheets from 10, 15 years ago. I still got them all.
Yeah.
That's
like I'll put it like this. I was in the Navy. You were in the Navy with me. You were doing the same stuff that I was doing, the cool guy shit and everything else. And keep in mind, I nerded the fuck out, but you're doing the same cool guy shit I'm doing. I play Dungeons and Dragons. You play Dungeons and Dragons, math rock boy. Like, you know, like
the funniest thing was my group of friends, we weren't really into the D&D. We had the other games we were playing, and thankfully, the D&D backlash drew attention to where nobody ever paid attention to what we were doing. In fact, for years, we were able to do the role-playing games that we were doing, and then especially the LARPing part of it. And then those dumbasses decided to kill those parents and claim Vampire the Masquerade. They were like, "You sons of bitches! Nobody even knew what it was till you did this, right?" And then every college campus was like, "No, you can't play anymore." Every building was like, "We can't allow you anymore." It's like, God damn it!
I'm
into the White Wolf groups real quick.
I want to touch that. I want to touch the subject of LARPing. Like I was in high school and they were talking the foam swords and everything else and stuff like that. And I used to think, man, these guys are what the fuck, dude? You're a huge fucking nerd and this, that, and the other.
You go out and do it.
Wait, to the point of my original Yahoo email name was based on me making fun of some LARPers and stuff like that. And now, if you look under my bed, or if you're looking under my desk right now, which you can't see because the camera's on me, I have all of my LARPerator things for airsoft. So
total LARP.
But it's funny. It's like even that has changed. You have people that go do that now, and it's completely acceptable. And it's gotten to a level that, like, even Shark and I recently found out about Bickling and couldn't believe how goddamn huge it has gotten.
Yeah.
Like, this place is literally its own city in size.
Yeah.
And it's the largest LARP in the world. It's 3 weeks long. And yeah, it's just funny.
I think you graduate from like actual fantasy LARPing to SCA. And then when your joints give out, you downgrade to airsoft. This is a shout out to.
It's funny. It's like
shout out to you, Frank.
They're bringing up the point. You know, people talking shit about younger, because every generation talks about shit about younger generation to some extent and everything.
Yeah.
And they got into the whole. Well, you know, y'all talk crap about the cartoons we watch and everything. Bear in mind, this person's like about to maybe hit high school next year. It's my friend's kid, and you're sitting there and I go, we make fun of you not because of the lack of understanding. It's the lack of content that y'all have, the quality of the content you have.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, I go, well, case in point, Skibbity Toilet.
What is that? What is it?
Toilet is dumber than shit, makes no fucking sense, and you're trying to build a lore about all this shit that is literally just dumb. I go, you look at the dumbest shit I had growing up, it still had intelligence to understand it. For the most part, as dumb as Beavis and Butthead was, you had to be pretty smart to understand the
nuance.
Same with Ren and Stimpy. There was so much hidden shit in Ren and Stimpy. Like, the younger me never understood the comment when, you know, Ren's trying to, and I'm forgetting who was who. Who was the stupid one, right? Stimpy, right?
Stimpy. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ren.
Yeah,
Stimpy was a dumb one.
It took till my adulthood to understand one of the biggest skits that Ren and Stimpy had that caused the most backlash, but when I was younger, didn't get it. And that is, and I watched it now as an adult, and the minute I watched it as an adult, I'm just like, how the fuck did Nickelodeon air that? Because literally, it's Stimpy, Ren catches Stimpy trying to sniff his butt, turns around, slaps the living shit out of him, and yells, "How many times have I told you I'm the pitcher, you're the catcher?" And I'm just like, oh shit.
But yes, there's a whole lot of those. You can go simple to the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do the simplistic one, Animaniacs.
Oh geez.
I found prints.
Fingerprints.
No. I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah. This is a children's show.
Oh, not to mention the creepy janitor character that was always after Dot.
let's get into but let's get into Ghost Rider, Goosebumps, all the stuff that we went, all the shows that came out when we were kids, all the cartoons that came out when we were kids. It was like it was literally just like a who's who of trauma that we could put on kids. Like
Johnny Bravo. There you go.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Oh, I fucking love Courage.
Oh my God, Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Modern life.
Oh, Courage the Cowardly Dog and Terminator are the reasons why I will never tell dogs to shut up when they're barking, and why I always pay attention to what they're doing. Why is the dog looking at the corner like that? I don't see. Everybody get out of the room. You know what I mean?
Like, even the movies we had, the movies that were made for kids, really were way darker than the stuff.
Oh my God!
I mean, case in point, Monster Squad.
Monster Squad, Never Ending Story. What was the one with the monsters under the bed? With what? No, yeah, Little Monsters.
Little Monsters, yeah.
Dude, with Ben Savage.
Or was it Tiny Soldiers?
To nowhere. Tiny Soldiers.
It was marketed as a kids movie that never was meant to be a kids movie. Stuff like
Labyrinth,
Monkey Bone.
There's that.
Monkey Bone.
Oh, Cool World.
Oh God, Cool World should have never been marketed the way it was.
Cool World,
the graphic novel it was based off of was only sold at porn stores.
Cool World is definitely one of the things that definitely falls into the forbidden jutsu, even though it's technically not anime. But yeah. Shit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everybody thought because it was a cartoon, it was for kids, and hell no.
Oh, dude, I got to tell this story.
Dark satire and everything.
Oh, yeah. I got to tell the story. My dad took me to go see Starship Troopers. My dad had read the book, and he had made me read the book. I was a kid at the time when we went, so we go to the theater to go see it when it's coming out and stuff like that, right? And there's all of these little kids in there. And the reason it was a bunch of little kids and stuff like that in there, this was the time of Power Rangers, VR Troopers, all of those things were on there. So because of the way that the way that it was marketed, as far as the teasers and everything else,
showing the armor and everything,
people thought it was just another movie. It was a movie being made that was falling in the same guys as those, right? So there's all these little kids in the movie theater. And then the opening Klendathu scene happens, and almost like a chorus, like a crescendoing chorus, all of the kids start crying and screaming at the same time. And then there was just this parade of parents who didn't bother to check taking their kids out of the movies. And I always thought that, one, that's a good thing when it comes to ratings and parental responsibility, but also the shit was just funny. That's one of my core memories with my dad. And the thing about it is I love that movie too.
Speaking of Starship Troopers, you've heard that they're going to basically do a restart on it.
Are they going to animate it? If they're not going to animate it, I don't care.
No. You know who's doing it though, right?
Who?
Neil Blomkamp and the entire District 9 crew.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm a little bit tingly about it.
And the type of the actors he always continues to use. Could you imagine the guy that played Mad Murdock in the new X-Men, the new A-Team movie, and the guy that played in Elysium? You know the guy I'm talking about?
Oh, you're talking about the South African dude? Yeah.
Can you imagine him actually playing?
No.
He would have to be one of the military guys, and he would be perfect as one of the military higher ups and one of the hard asses.
So,
God, I can't think of that actor's name.
I'm trying to think of who I would want to see. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the crazy guy from Elysium. Who was doing the bounty hunting?
He had to have his whole face rebuilt.
Yeah.
Him.
I know who you're talking about. He would be great.
Became the alien.
He would be
in
great.
District 9?
Yeah.
He's the main actor in District 9.
Hold on. Sharplo Copley.
Yeah. He's a damn good actor. I mean, I've loved the guy in everything they put him in. I thought he played in the 18 remake. I thought he was a perfect Mad Murdock.
Oh yeah,
especially the helicopter blades. You spin me right around, baby.
Road is good, sir.
You squish my head. That's a no parking zone.
I want them. This is gonna sound crazy. I want them to do it darker and closer to All Quiet on the Western Front, like it was originally supposed to be in the book.
Blowcamp, he will. He's one of those that likes staying close to source material.
But that said, I want them to show me less of a badass in the teacher and more of the burnt out soldier.
Yeah.
And when I'm thinking of that character,
and when it comes to the armor, like the books, go more Helldivers.
When I'm thinking about the character, I'm thinking about...
That's all Helldivers is. Helldivers is Starship Troopers.
Right, but what I'm saying, when I'm thinking about the character of the teacher, I'm thinking more the dude who plays the CIA guy from Jack Ryan. The guy who gets killed in the hole in the tree. He's originally doing all of their Black Ops stuff.
I'm trying to remember what actor played that.
God, I can't remember his name, and I can't look it up on my phone because then I'm going to hang up on you guys like I did last time. But Jack Ryan season 1, or you could do the bald guy who does who's basically the department head for South America. Who's in it right now? Who looks almost like Bill Burr, but it's not Bill Burr.
I'm trying to remember who that is.
See, kids, this is why it pays to actually learn actors' names versus just their character names.
But most of the time, I remember their names. Just some actors, like I've only seen them in maybe one or two things. It's one of those that they weren't the main person. So it's like,
well, do you know? For the longest time, I had no idea who Vinnie Jones was. I just kept calling him Bullet Tooth Tony.
See, I knew who he was just from the world of rugby.
Is this the guy?
So not Jack.
That's Reacher himself.
That's Jack Ryan. No, you go for the station chief for South America. It's a bald white guy, and he kind of looks like Bill Burr. If you IMDb it, you'll see him.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Just IMDb the whole cast and crew.
Oh, this guy. Oh, wait, you're talking about the dude that played with The Rock and the Scorpion King, and he played this dude. Yeah, that dude, right?
Yes. Well, no, I'm actually not talking about him, but he'd be good. He'd be good too.
Yeah, give
or
me
are
a
you
second.
talking about him?
Him. That's who I'm actually talking about.
Mike November?
Yep. And then I want old boy from Yellowstone, who's also in Lioness right now, the cowboy guy. I want him to be Zim.
That would work. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? The cowboy guy who breaks the horses.
Yes. Yeah, he'd be good.
I don't know why, but this guy reminds me of what's his nuts from Bad Santa. I'm gonna shoot myself here in a second.
Oh, Billy Bob.
Oh, Billy Bob.
Billy Bob. There you go.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Billy Bob.
You mean the man that broke in Angelina Jolie?
See, my thing is this. I would want to see Billy Bob Thornton in this movie in some capacity just because I like the way he talks, especially when he's playing a military member or somebody who's government official, like affiliate. But I'm just like, he'd have to play a sky marshal, and there's no way that I could believe him as a sky marshal the very second he starts talking. Well, I don't know. Maybe we should just go to Clint Eastwood and blow it the fuck up.
Yeah, but in all fairness, he has actually toned down that way of talking. Like, have you watched Landman?
I haven't, but I just got done with Goliath, which is a series I didn't.
Landman's better. Landman is
no. I don't doubt it, and I'm going to get into it. It was just one of those things where I was sitting there going, I wonder what Billy Bob Thornton's doing, because and then I'm like, holy shit, he did the show. Like, I saw like a couple of clips from Goliath, and I'm like, oh, I like court procedural shows. Let me watch this. And I was like, this is not what the fuck I thought it was going to be.
No, it's very deceiving. Kind of like if you've never watched Bosch. Bosch is a show to check out.
Yeah.
It's bloody brutal. It's There's a reason after a 4-year hiatus because a fan appeal brought him back twice.
Well, you got that.
Real quick, Shark, look up the and see if you can bring it up on the screen. They just released the final full on IMDb, the cast list for Mobland.
Oh,
have you heard about this? The new one from Guy Ritchie?
I know. I've seen
the list is full of people.
I'm sorry. I'm still mad at Guy Ritchie because I'm still waiting for The Real Rock and Roller to come out.
Yeah, he needs to do that one though. As good as the first film was, he needs to.
It's too late. That. It's too late to do it because I can't like. Even if you wanted to do the characters as older, 1, 2 should, for all intents and purposes, be dead by now. Like, if you're doing it based on the way the timeline works.
You got to hand the guy credit. When they announced that they were going to do The Gentleman as a show, even I was like, how are you going to beat the movie? But holy shit, it did.
I was angry and skeptical, but I watched it and I'm like, this is the shit.
Yeah.
And the way that they did it, it's not competing with the movie. It's a compliment of the movie.
Yeah. Well, it leads you to believe that you are in the same world. So at some point, the two may cross.
Well, no, it's like it's an after. Basically an after telling of what happened after he got out of the business, and then who took over, and then that guy getting out of the business. So I could literally watch the movie and then just go straight into watching the show, and everything is continuing on nicely. And it's not. It's the same universe. It's the same continuity. It's not the same people.
Hit present and share your screen because then it'll go big.
Gotcha. Let's do that. Present. No. Oh, there's screen share. And we want this one. There we go.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren. Let's see. I'm sorry. Patty Considine, I remember. Mandeep Dillon, I've seen in a few things. Alex Fine, Joff Bell, going down. Bradley Turner, Ellen Acosta. I mean, geez, yeah.
Tom Hardy as drill instructor Zim.
There you go.
That would work. I will say honestly,
they probably don't have the budget to pull that
role. That role was kind of perfectly cast as Clancy Brown.
Yeah. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I think you could still probably get him to do it again, but it just wouldn't have the same gravitas.
I don't think you would, just because of the type of actor that he is. If you think about it, no two roles he's ever done are identical.
Facts.
He's never ever repeated anything. So.
And what's the deal with the reappearance of Pierce Brosnan? Like, is it me or
hiatus? No,
he just a long hiatus.
He took a hiatus. I mean, he became very picky about the projects he works on.
He was in 1923.
Yeah.
The Yellowstone show. It's not like he hasn't done anything recent. He's in 1923.
Yeah, but I see where Shark's coming from. For a while before that, he had really.
Oh no, he took quite
a bit of a break.
Well, he had to take the hiatus because he had just got done doing the James Bond stuff, and then like the 2 roles that he did right after that were box office failures. So he took his James Bond money and said, "Let me sit on this and let me basically take myself out of the zeitgeist real quick." And then he came back subtle. and he's doing great character work, and you're looking at him and you're not looking at, and you basically got a whole generation of adults looking at him going, oh, I didn't know that was James Bond.
or the other dude from Mrs. Doubtfire.
Right.
Yep. All right. So for final thing we're going to go into tonight, this is where we kind of all get to kind of unload and go a little away from the nerdy and more into the dark roast.
Okay.
I'm going to start this segment now that will come back and repeat as our climate that we're in nowadays keeps alternating so goddamn fast. You blink and what was acceptable is not acceptable. What was changed again. And all the terms and everything keep growing to an exponential level that even Webster's is like, motherfucker, we don't have enough trees. We're going to call this section Into the Gray, because for a while now, a thing that's kind of always gotten on me is as soon as all this culture war and the political climate crap started, whether it be in entertainment, games, just in general life, you've got a lot of people here in the YouTube space, especially, that have gone so tribalistic and pick sides that they see, you got your sides that got to defend everything, even if it's indefendable. You've got people that try to justify things that are blatantly should not be justified but condemned. You've got people that everybody has picked a tribe and a side. It's gotten so tribalistic and it's destroying things in such a level that it's ridiculous. You basically got, your one side or the other. There's not enough of us sitting here just talking in the middle, having a middle ground on shit in the gray. So that's the name of the segment, is In the Gray. So that's where we're going to kind of talk right now, is just poke our brains in our thoughts of why so many people like on the far right see wokeness and everything, whether it's there or not. Why people on the left want to sit there and justify things that shouldn't be justified and take things out. But everybody's just taking everything out of context because it's got to fit the narrative that basically, in my view, the cult of the right or the cult of left has dictated it needs to be. Because whether people want to admit it or not, if you sit there and you condemn and shun and kick out family members because they're not agreeing with you, that's some cultic ass shit.
It is, but I'm not surprised about it. We've been I'm going to say we, but it's not a we thing. But we've been doing that since a whole lot of things. We used to do that. If you want to go back to the origins of it, we did it when we found out that our relatives were N-word lovers. That's right. I'm using the politically correct. I'm not getting into any of that stuff. You're not going to call me a reverse racist anyway. But when people were pretty much okay with like civil rights and with minorities and everything else, they got called N-word lovers and everything else, and their family shunned them because there wasn't that level of dissonance where it was like, we hate them. And then we had the exact same thing a couple of generations later with gays. It's like, oh, you're gay, you're not a son of mine, and you're not a part of this family, and you got to get the hell out, and you're killing grandma and stuff like that. So it's not a new phenomenon. I think that because we have social media and a lot of people are now feeling like, even though they're not, a lot of people are feeling like their voice is important and what they're doing is important, or at least important enough for other people to watch. They then start thinking that their stance on things is right. And then when somebody starts to argue their stance in any way, shape, or form, it doesn't go into the public discussion of discourse. It goes into, you're attacking me personally for something I believe, so let me attack you personally. And then it goes into, well, now I need to defend my personal space. And it goes into us not really focusing on what the subject matter was in the first place. There are things on the right that I agree with that I can't agree with right now because the way that it's being represented is harmful. There are things on the left that I agree with that I can't agree with because it keeps being said in a harmful way instead of in the helpful way that it's supposed to. There should be
down to, instead of things being said with common sense, they're being said led by emotion.
Right. It's like, yes, there should be inclusion of people in almost everything. There should be a representation of people in almost everything. But it should be an act.
Contrary to social media belief, It's okay to talk in the town square, but there's a reason there was only one idiot on the soapbox, not every idiot on the soapbox.
Well, and part of the problem though is you look at it and it's like, okay, well, we're just gonna use our feelings for absolutely everything, and empathy is a wonderful thing, but it doesn't belong in politics, decision making. For the most part, empathy is for when you're around your people.
I would say it's not. I would say it doesn't even fall into empathy, because it's not empathy. It's not you taking on and understanding where another person is coming from. It's the
desire for empathy.
No, it's tokenism. It's
tokenism,
what is so.
It's narcissism. It's people guising empathy, saying they're being empathetic, but really they're doing it for their own altruistic needs.
It's
their fear of being a victim. We have created victimization and the validation of being a victim.
It's those things, but it's like when a sociopath is feigning emotions.
Yeah.
Like when a true sociopath, when they're in a situation and they're giving the platitudes because it's programmed in them that this is what I'm supposed to do at this point, while not feeling any of that.
Well, considering you lived in Japan, you'll understand this one, and other people will have to look it up. It's like everybody out there, how I see it is, it's like everybody out there somehow heard the story of the Japanese have 9 faces and took it to heart too far.
Oh.
The only problem is the 9 faces that these people are using are none of the ones that you should be out using.
Yeah. Right. Like,
I'm just tired of the fact of no common sense. It's like, without common sense, you can't have a middle ground.
It's killing us. But it's also, it also goes into this. You can't have a middle ground without the common sense part of it and stuff like that. But people need to understand that your experience and your feelings are drips in the ocean of what's going on.
And they're also 100% subjective to only your perception.
I'll go. I said I wasn't going to go political, but
hold on. Case in point, the greatest comedians, you're not going to laugh at every one of their jokes. In fact, some of their jokes are probably going to piss you off at the moment. But the minute you get home or a day later, you're going to think about that joke in a different context out of that situation and either agree, fuck, they were right, or laugh your ass off finally. The problem is none of these people want to take a break and rethink it. Like you're saying, they jump on emotion, they think it's an attack on them, and they don't realize it's not an attack on you. And the thing that I have a sad seeing, especially with where we are recently, is, I've gotten into quite a few arguments with my friend Dante because he's very stuck in the cult of left, far deep in the cult of left. Like I've literally heard him regurgitate their talking points word for fucking word, and he's saying it as if it's his fucking idea. And one day I just finally told him, I go, it's like, dude, it's like, you don't realize that like everything you're yelling and screaming about, you were defending 2 years ago. It's like you're angry that all these things are happening, that the people in power now are doing all these things. It's like, you were angry at me when I tried to warn you 4 years ago that your side needs to tone it the fuck down or people are going to get tired of it. And when they do, the ramifications are going to be worse than they would if you had just taken it slowly and taken time. It's like everything that you're going through now, the bad actors in your group brought on your group.
It actually
didn't corral the bad actors. You didn't tell the people that were doing damage to shut the hell up and stay out of it.
It goes deeper than that. It's like, again, common sense. Everybody doesn't get to play football.
Not everybody gets to be a supermodel.
Yeah, everybody doesn't get that. And hold on.
And not everybody who's fat is going to be a diabetic.
True. But there's this thing on the left where it's like,
I hate to say it, that was the only thing that popped in my head in the sense that's like they have these false narratives of what they see in front of them is all that's there.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is this: there's this false narrative on the left where there's equity. I'm sorry, there's equity in everything, and there isn't.
Yeah.
Some people are going to be Belle. Some people are going to be the Beast. Some people are going to be Gaston. But then there's the rest of us that are going to be walking around being the baker with their bread like always.
Yeah.
You don't get to be special. You don't get to have the story. But the thing about it is, on the thing on the left is everybody can be that. Everybody should be that, and you should acknowledge that everybody can be and should be that. No,
that's where the whole idea of the participation trophy came in.
But on the right,
spurred this.
But on the right, they're sitting there going, "Well, nobody should ever feel special about anything that they do, and this, that, and the other." And I'm talking about the far, and I'm like, that's also no. Yeah. And there's a nice meeting ground in the middle where you can have that conversation and you can talk about things and you can talk about inclusivity.
It doesn't help too when we're dealing with this is the first time in my lifetime that I grew up not really caring much for our media to begin with.
Right.
They've always told their sides of things. Only very few journalists like Walter Cronkite and all of them were true investigative. Hold on, we're true investigative journalists. The problem now is you have so many of them picking a side. You have so many of them twisting things around that you have people believing narratives that are not there. Like
there were
one that bothers me the most that I hear all the time is the whole our current leader and his friend Musk being these racist, evil people. And I'm just sitting there going, and this is what I hit my friend Dante with. I was like, Dante, out of your whole life, have you ever actually met? We're not talking just drove through a town and experienced it for a second, but actually met a real racist. I go, they are not going to employ anybody of color, let alone pay for their insurance or be nice to them.
No. You are wrong about that. They are going to do that because they are self-serving. They can hate you and they can do those things at the same time. And I've seen and experienced this. I've met real racists. Here's my thing about it. Donald Trump and Elon Musk don't fall into that category because they're in a tax bracket where they don't give a shit about anybody who's not in their tax bracket. It doesn't matter if you're black. It doesn't even matter if you're white. It doesn't matter if you're a woman. It doesn't matter if anything. They don't give a shit about you because they don't give a shit about you. You can sit there, like, we sat there and had whole ass debates and argued about the Nazi salute. It was a fucking Nazi salute. I hate saying that I agree with Musk in this aspect of it. Who the fuck cares? It didn't do anything to him. Nobody went and put him in jail. If he had done that in South Africa, he'd have gone to jail for 5 years. There wouldn't have been a debate about what it was because it is what it is. He'd have gone to jail for 5 years because in South Africa, you can't do that. It's against the law.
Yeah.
Now,
I think what also leads to like the people believing or questioning, or do we have so much stuff that is questioned that before we never ever questioned? Maybe we should have been questioning it a lot more.
No,
but hold on real quick. What gets me is I think what has done a lot of hurt is the disingenuousness of things. Like you're saying, the left wants equality, but at the same time, the wording. Here we go back again. The words that people use and the impact of them. Like, I'm sorry, when you have a group of people in a city that are looting and burning buildings, that's no longer a protest, no matter what side you are.
Yes, but
what these people are doing to Teslas and Tesla dealerships is, sadly enough, an act of terrorism.
That's vandalism and terrorism, and I'm fully on board with that.
You look at the left, and they're defending it, and they won't say it. But every time you mention about the right, J6 was bad and shouldn't have happened, but it wasn't. The building's still standing.
But no,
everything got repaired.
No,
and on top of it, people went to jail for 3 years with no trials. Which is
like
a whole other fucking
It's
situation.
like my dad used to say, 2 wrongs don't make a fucking right.
Right. Both things can be true at the same time. Both things can be equally wrong at the same time.
Neither side want to admit they were wrong. That's the
Exactly.
problem. With a bunch of kids in a playground.
But that's what I'm talking about. The left sits there and wants to shout out inclusionism to the point of not even recognizing that the inclusionism that they're doing is tokenism, and tokenism is hurtful to the demographic of people that you're trying to represent. You want to tell
so damaging to the fact that you listen to all these white people that think they're being virtuous, and the things they're actually saying are way more racist than the things they're saying are racist.
You want to tell us
seeing it as a problem of race and not a problem of financial caste.
It's not just race or anything like. Okay, so you want to tell a story of homosexuality in the 40s, then tell the real story of homosexuality in the 40s. Talk about how it was in the 40s. I just watched an episode of 1923 where they were showing what happened when somebody was found guilty of the violating miscegenation laws.
Yeah. And how they were talked about and everything else. They went over to the man's house, they beat him, they took his family, they arrested him and did all this other stuff. Then they went into the judge's office to try and get him out of jail and stuff like that, and basically had to blackmail the judge. And while blackmailing the judge, come to find out the judge is also in a mixed race relationship, but he's sitting there calling the guy's kids mongrels, and he's sitting there talking about all sorts of shit and this, that, and the other, knowing damn well that he himself doesn't black. Well, he himself doesn't believe in that law, but the dissidents in it literally sat there and said, I'm not doing it because it's not against the law for me to do this right here, but he can't be with that Chinese woman that he's with. But I'm getting too specific in the thing. You want to tell a story, then tell the story, but you got to tell the story correctly. You can't sit there and just have people walking down the street holding hands, acting like, oh my God, well, I'm fighting the power and I'm fighting the man and I'm fighting this, that, and the other, because they didn't do that, because they could die. Yeah.
You want to tell true stories about racism and stuff like that. They have all of these things where the evil white person is sitting there, well, nigger this and nigger that, and move out of the way, boy, and you get out of my way, and you do this, that, and the other, and all this other stuff. And meanwhile, the virtuous white man, Matthew McConaughey, I'm just going to say Matthew McConaughey because he does this in all his movies, comes in to save all the black people with some speech or something that makes the white people actually feel empathy towards the black people and stuff like that. Entertaining as fuck. I love Matthew McConaughey. Tokenism. It's not showing what it is, because these people live side by side with these black people. These people interacted with these black people. They interacted with them in a cultural manner of sir, ma'am, boy, hey, whatever. Some of them had that darker tone to it, but for the most part, they interacted. Hey, come around to the back and you can go ahead and get a plate. Hey, go do this. Hey, make sure you cross the street when you're talking to a white man. Make sure you do this, that, and the other. They had the interactions. And these are the same white people that would have an interaction that would go, yeah, I know Jasper down the way. Jasper's real good at putting cars and stuff back together. If you need to go get a car put back there. This is the same dude that will walk down to Jasper's house, burn a cross in his front fucking yard, and hang that man because he was out past sunset, and not feel any type of way about it. That's true racism. That's the true evil of what it was. And they don't depict that, but they'll always depict the extremities. And I understand you're depicting the extremities because of the artistic license.
The only show that I have ever seen depict it, and at the same time brought up an event in history that nobody had talked about.
Watchmen with Tulsa. But
honestly, I had never even known about that until that happened. I was like, did they write this for a show? And that's why I looked up and it's like, how the hell with all the great history teachers that I have, I never even had heard of this.
Right. But that's not what I want you. I want you to go watch the movie Rosewood. The movie Rosewood is actually a better depiction of what the fuck happened. And it's based on two different true stories.
Okay.
But go watch Rosewood. I'm going to say loosely based because like it's basically two stories of two different massacres that happened that got put together. But there was a real place called Rosewood, and there was an actual real massacre there. But I digress. You have the left trying to trying to bring this stuff out, but they don't want to bring it out in the proper way that it needs to be told. They want to bring it out in this tokenism. They want to hold it up as this banner. They want to hold it up as this bonfire to follow.
Is a good one showing what happened to the Native Americans.
Right. You then have the right, and the right wants to basically do this. The right wants to be like, we understand that happened, but we're not there now. We need to move on. I can understand that point. But they're doing it to the point where they're basically trying to write out of history the bad shit that happened. We don't want to do critical race theory because it makes people feel bad about what happened. Instead of worrying about how it's going to make them feel bad, worry about focusing on this was the history that happened. We're changing stuff now. These are the things you should look for so we could change stuff now. Yeah. That's the middle ground
to take it even further, rather than be totally against critical race theory. Take the stance of, we need to learn this, we need to acknowledge this, but let's go through a fine-tooth comb and take out the rhetoric that's been added to this and keep the reality in it.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the middle ground. Yeah. If you work together on it, y'all can do that. They don't want to work together. They want to sit there and go, no, we either have to teach this way or this, or this, or the debate with the bathrooms when that came up. Mm-hmm. I thought it was silly. And then it got dangerous because I saw how polarizing it got. Did you ever go to
that was honestly what destroyed that and set that ablaze like it did.
I want
bad faith actors on social media.
But I want to ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Do you remember going to like a ball game or something like that where the line for the women's bathroom was really long, and then you said, "Hey, if you want to come in here, there's a stall open," and the girl ran in and used the bathroom real quick, and then she ran back out?
Yeah.
There's never been any kind of law that says that men can't go in the girls' bathroom. As a matter of fact, Top Gun is I'm using this as one of the oldest movies that I can think of with this in it. Top Gun, he follows her into the bathroom and he's talking to her in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Nobody says shit about it. The women are kind of looking at him kind of funny, but nobody said anything about it. We've got into this whole discussion about men being in the women's bathroom, moreover, trans men being in the women's bathroom. And the thing about this is that whole thing about predatory trans people is an old 1920s thing that is old. It's old racism. This is why we need to learn history. It's old racism come back around to being a thing that they could use. They always said that trans people, transvestites and everything else were predatory and strange, and they would come snatch your children, and they would do that. They did that back in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s.
Yeah, but this is where my point is social media over-exacerbated, because you had a bunch of people who were younger and stupider and were primarily probably not even part of the community. They were activists, especially, with the blue, a lot of them with the blue hair and looking totally as crazy as they can, even though they may not be, took to social media and thought, if you're going to make an issue of this, I'm going to, do what they thought was their point to stand their ground, not realizing that their stand their ground just added jet fuel to the little fire that was already burning.
Right.
And set the whole damn thing ablaze.
Instead of just taking a step back and going, look, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is what I talked to Shark about last podcast. I go, if they wanted to do it right, they need to understand that you are in the spotlight now. Whether their community really wanted to be, whether the T community wanted to be in the spotlight or not, they were.
Yeah.
So they needed to take a lesson from the LGB of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where they gathered everybody together and like, we want our rights. We need to build this up. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, your bedroom you stays in the bedroom. Your social you goes out in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it just like I told Shark. Now, all of y'all in the room, listen up. You twinks and flamers don't look at you. Chill your shit in public. Chill your shit in public. Be cool. But once we get our rights, flame on, motherfuckers. Flame on. We don't care. But for right now,
there's a bigger problem.
Shit. And they did. That's the problem with this group. They didn't. The sad part is it's not the group. It's these goddamn little activist kids that think that they're making a point on social media and not realizing you're feeding into every bit of hysteria and every bit of thing that the right is so trying to say is there, but it might not even be there.
But even
whatever they think it is.
Even on that, the main thing is you're taking an action that has no action behind it. You're taking an action that's not solving the problem. You want to know how you could have solved the bathroom debate? Take the fucking placards off the bathrooms. There is no women's bathroom. There is no men's bathroom. You know, like when you use the bathroom at home. Would have ended the debate real quick if they had just started showcasing places where they just took it off of there.
But the problem is The problem where we're at now is they didn't end the debate. The debate went further than it should have.
They didn't end the debate, and people,
because of the last 4 years, a golden umbrella was given to where you couldn't question your counsel, you couldn't say anything, and you and all of us know if you give impunity, people, bad, ugly people are going to run with it. And all the stories of the shit that actually did happen were probably not even people of that group. They were people that realized, sick motherfuckers that realized, I can use this.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people. There's a lot of bad faith actors doing stuff on both sides and everything else and stuff like that.
It's kind of like hold on to change the entire subject real quick to bring the same point across. All these cities that were like, we're going to get rid of all the punishment for low level crimes, and then wonder why crime jumps up because they don't seem to understand. Criminal animals be criminal animals. You give them a leash, they're going to take the whole damn yard.
So here's the thing about that. You have criminals that are just straight up monsters, right?
I was inside 2 years with a couple of them.
Yeah, I know. You can
decriminalize. It's like until you talk about how to handle criminals, go hang around a few of them for a while. See me leave with your watch and wallet.
Hold on. So that goes into a bigger issue, and I'm going to cover that bigger issue in just a second. I just want to cover this part first. I want to stay on topic first because it was like that can go.
Oh, I know.
You decriminalize small crimes. That's fine. But if you never do anything to treat the symptom as to why those small petty crimes exist in the first place, then it becomes a much bigger problem for you to decriminalize that shit, because then it becomes bigger shit. That said,
I love this. I left a gas station today. We were doing our route and we left a gas station. There were two guys with one of the little trying to gather funds for whatever they were there for. Well, what they were there for was stop violence in school. So I looked at him and I go, well, first of all, I don't carry cash on me anymore. So sorry, I can't help you. I go, secondly, I go, money will not fix what you're
violence
trying to
in school. For. Yeah.
I go, you want to know what'll fix violence in school? Hold the bullies accountable, hold the schools accountable, and start arresting the fucking parents.
Do you know what? Even that
just looked at me and he's like, you're right. And I go, yeah, until accountability is held, no money thrown at it's going to fix it. Bullying, I agree. Bullying has been there since the dawn of time.
I agree, and I disagree with you, and I'll get into that part in a second. But I do want to say this: if we refine the way that we actually do criminal justice, and we actually do the punishment part of criminal justice, and we get away from the punitive and get into the actual rehabilitation,
it's all about reform instead of being a revolving door.
Yeah, if we get into the actual rehabilitation process of it, we'll be fine. The problem is we can't get into the rehabilitation portion of it because our criminal justice system is built off of that built-in loophole in the 14th Amendment.
And
13th Amendment.
And the fact that every major big prison is private owned and it's big
business. It's big business. It's huge business.
But it's big business based off of that one loophole that basically says if you're a felon or if you're a criminal, you're not granted the constitutional rights of a free person.
And I know the AC. Hold on, I can tell you from somebody firsthand. The minute I got out and I experienced all of that, there was a part of me that was like, fine, if you're not going to give me any of my rights back again, why the fuck should I abide by any of your rules? If I can't get McDonald's to fucking hire me, why the fuck would I want to keep trying?
Ding, 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 ding. But look, I need somebody who's listening, who's a lawyer, who's good at this stuff. I need you to file a lawsuit so that we can go ahead and get a lot of those criminal codes removed from job applications and stuff like that. Now, I'm not talking about serious stuff. I'm not talking about sexual crimes. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about at least eliminating that portion from the job search so that people can get jobs when they get out and stuff like that. Because if the president of the United States can commit 30 some odd felonies and still be the president of the United States, I think you can be a cashier at Walgreens.
Well, and the bigger problem is the prison system itself.
It's not set up. It's not set up.
You're literally just going in there and twiddling your damn thumbs.
It's storage.
No. You're not twiddling your thumbs. You're not twiddling your thumbs.
You're
learning how to be.
You're going in there with a high school degree in crime and leaving with a PhD.
Yeah, it's college level crime.
I left knowing how to make every illicit substance that I would never ever choose to make or use, but all the recipes are up here because that's all those fuckers talk about.
No, right. But my point is, the criminal justice system does not have any sort of, hey, let's make you better. The only reason there's schooling or any of that is simply because the people in there get bored and they're like, well, what the fuck else am I going to do?
Well, the funny thing I went to visit Rachel up there in O'Daniel, right?
Yeah.
And was blown away when I found out the amount of programs and the degrees she's getting. And I'm like, this must have been in the last 10 years, because when I was in there 20 years ago, this shit wasn't there. This didn't exist.
But even
you just sat in a fucking hole and you be happy with it. You saw, the yard for 1 hour a fucking day if you were lucky.
But even that doesn't matter if when she gets out, the degree she got doesn't hold any kind of sway on getting her a job in any kind of field where she doesn't have to recommit a crime.
Yeah, if you fill out yes on that thing, 90% of the time, they're not even going to read the application. They're going to destroy it, or it goes to the bottom of the pile.
Right.
Only people I know that ever got a job is because the person interviewing them had been in their position before years ago.
Actual empathy.
I know you resent what you did and you're trying your best. Just don't fuck me over here, and I'll make sure you get this job and you'll move up in the company and something will happen.
But again, this comes down to reforming the prison system so that you can actually make a prison system that's based on rehabilitation, like more of the European places, and not based on the fact that, hey, there's a free labor force that we can exploit as long as we have as many people as we fucking can in jail, because the 13th Amendment says that we can do that.
Yeah.
Ratify the 13th Amendment. Ratify the 13th Amendment, get rid of that, give prisoners actual fucking rights, and then see how quickly all this shit changes. But getting off of, not even getting off of that, because that's important stuff too. But it's like, again, these are all polarizing things. If I say this to some of my right-leaning friends, they're like, no, because they committed the crime and they deserve to do the time. Cool. You feel that way. Do you keep that same energy when, I don't know, a person commits 36 felonies, all of which that combined comes out to a jail sentence of at least 10 to 15 years? Don't you think that person, especially if they're holding the highest office in the land, should honor the law and go to jail? Well, now you're waffling. Okay, cool. Hey, tell me this. Do you believe that a person who can afford a better lawyer, even if they commit a crime, the fact that their lawyer is better and can get them off, do you believe that they should still go to jail? Well, I mean, but the law said, okay.
Law it always has been.
Right. So you're starting to waffle a bit. So you're starting to show where you're like, oh, it's not that I believe in equity and it's not that I believe in crime and punishment. I believe that because I have never put myself in a position to be a victim of the judicial system, I don't hold any empathy towards somebody who may be one, and I don't hold any empathy towards somebody who may be in a class where that's all they're going to know.
Well, and it's, Amber says it really good. My wife says it really good because she works, in a prison.
In the prison.
You're one bad decision away from going from gray to orange. One simple decision. Walk out of a bar, accidentally, you're a little buzzed, accidentally kill somebody. Guess what? There you go. Your ass is in jail. It's just one bad decision. And people who, I've never done. No, you've just never been caught.
Yeah. How many times have you been speeding through a school zone and you got away with it? And then the one day that the cop pulls you over, I had to get to work. How is that more important than you're speeding through a school zone?
Yep.
It's that cognitive dissonance that they can have, and then it's the narcissism that they can have about it. I'm somehow the main character. No, you're the baker with his bread like always. Fucks the bread.
That's a whole nother subject all itself. How many people are frozen in main character syndrome?
Yeah, but we're making it worse. Social media has made it worse because, again, I thought about this the other day. I was like, the one thing that TikTok did that was actually bad for it, but the same thing that YouTube, Vine, and everything else did was it took people who weren't important, and all of a sudden they became important. They became important, and then they're all of a sudden
stand that whole terminology in that whole world.
But again, they became important, and all of a sudden,
of them are the dumbest motherfuckers you'll ever talk to.
You look at the Paul brothers.
Oh God, don't you get started about those ass hats.
No. But I'm just saying, you look at the Paul brothers. They started out just doing like little dances and shit like that and stuff like that. And it was funny and it was cool. And then they got big off of it. And then it became, okay, cool. Now I'm in the entertainment business. I need to keep my name out there and I need to keep being entertaining. How do I do that? And it went from being these nice, and it went from being the nice little charming dances to doing annoying and trying stuff. Because then they started doing stuff and it started being bad. And even though they probably felt bad about the shit that they did, and they like in a normal situation, if you were in that situation and did it, you'd be like, "Oh fuck, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that, and I'm not going to do that again." Now they're sitting there going, "Okay, well, this is buzz. Keep doing shit like this."
And see, the issue I have with either one of them is I really don't care about Jake too much because he's an asshole and he doesn't hide it. I got to hand the guy credit. He's an asshole and he doesn't hide it. My main issue of the Paul brothers is I just don't care for Logan. I don't care for ever since the body in Japan to him screwing over people with crypto scams left and right because he's done it 3 times now. And then his answering to all of them is, "I'm going to pay the people back," and then they never get paid back. It's like, what you owe those people, you just made in 6 months. There's no reason you can't fucking own up to your shit and pay those people back. That's why, in my opinion, if Logan Paul fell off a bridge, nobody should save his ass.
Right now, Logan Paul is a bad businessman and he's a bad actor, and he literally did the capitalist thing he did the most capitalist thing that you could do. He basically got over on people. Jake's a fighter. Jake went into boxing and he went and got serious about it, and now he's swindling people in boxing matches, but for the most part, he's trying to be a boxer. Yeah. He's also still doing.
When it comes to the swindling thing, he's not doing anything different or anything new than what
that wasn't already being done in boxing.
Set up fights anyway.
Right. No, you are correct. You are absolutely correct, and I always hold that. I did get mad at the Tyson fight, but it's only because I believed in the Tyson fight. But that was my fault for falling for that. I should have known by the end. I should have known by the end of round 1 that the fight was rigged.
I didn't know till this is going to be an epic train wreck, and it's going to be great.
I didn't know till round 3 that the fix was in, and it was when I watched Mike. Daze him with the fucking jab, jump forward, was about to body hook him, and then he pulled the punch, and I was like, "Oh, it's rigged."
Yeah.
Oh no,
there's no way.
I'm like, why?
If he had done that, if he had landed a hook like that, Paul would have probably gone behind him.
No. A real fight. I'm talking a real competition fight. Jake Paul loses to Mike Tyson right now.
Mm-hmm. Round 1.
9 out of 10 times. Not round 1. But he loses and I say not round 1 because he's actually training. He's actually doing training. He's actually doing fight training. He's actually fighting people when he spars and stuff like that. And he's actually he did a couple of amateur fights and stuff like that. He is a fighter. Yeah. He could last 3 rounds, but like you saw, Mike dazed him, and his hands came down, and his legs went wobbly. And had Mike moved in to do what Mike normally does to finish people off,
round one.
It was round 3 when he did it.
He dazed him in the first round.
He didn't.
Not that bad.
No, he didn't. No, but you know, no. I know what you're. I know what you're talking. I know what you're talking.
Mike,
I know.
You could tell in the first round and halfway through the second, Mike was having fun with him. It was right. I know the scene that 8Ball's talking about in third when that happened. You could tell Mike already knew. Because when you watch full beast mode series on this, he doesn't stand a damn chance.
You're talking about when they hug.
In that win at all.
No. It was that count. Okay, so Jake came in and he hit Mike. He hit Mike with a low left hook and then an overhand right. And Mike deflected it, but it was one of those things where Jake hit him hard enough for the muscle memory to kick in. And when Mike blocked it, he came out. He jabbed him straight up, caught him flush in the face. And he went back, his head snapped back like that, and he went back, and his hands dropped like this. And Mike instinctively jumped forward to come in for that body hook, for that simple 2-2-1 that he had been killing people with all of his life. And you saw him jump in, and instead he bit his glove, which is a thing that he does, but he bit his glove to hold his fist back. And you saw him go through the body movement. And then he backed up.
Him. Yeah, he bumped him and then came back.
Yeah. That's when I knew the fix was in.
Yeah, it was a payday.
But like the first 2 rounds, he went out and he measured him and everything else. And he did it like any aged fighter would do it anyway, just to make sure that they're not rushing into a trap that the youngins are setting. I understand that from watching old De La Hoya fights.
Well, not just De La Hoya.
Manny Pacquiao too.
No, I'm thinking heavyweight.
Foreman.
When Foreman came back, he did the same thing in his first 2 fights.
Yeah, first couple of rounds, he measured out, made sure he was doing stuff, and then you saw him basically start going to work about round 3.
Well, and even Evander did that shit at the end of his career. He was doing the same. He'd walk into a fight, get the measurements, and then proceed forward.
Yeah. So it's a lot of those things. So that's how shit. We got off subject with that, but yeah. But basically, there's a lot of shit that happens on the left and a lot of shit that happens on the right, and it's like it's the exact same picture, just mirrored. And it's like, if you just turn the fuck around, we can meet in the middle and we can actually solve problems. And one of the problems that I had with the Biden administration was the Biden administration came out of the Trump administration trying to do that. Hey, let's all turn around and look at each other and let's start doing this. And it's like, you didn't remember when during the Obama administration, the Republicans figured out that if we just don't do our jobs, he can't do his job. And they started doing the whining and complaining and stuff instead of governance. It's like, okay, cool. And then you watch Trump come into office and then just start doing stuff, not giving a fuck about either side, just doing stuff. And then you watched his side hit lockstep and be like, okay, well, we'll just let this shit slide, but it's okay. And it's like, wait, none of that shit's okay. We can't do that shit. We need to stop doing that shit.
It's funny. I even have friends that were on the far left that when they decided to go after Trump with all the charges and everything, even he was like, this is gonna set motions into effect for both sides that's never gonna end. And he goes, as much as I despise the guy, he goes, well, I got to admit that Trump, when he became president the first time, and this is what he said, he goes, Trump, when he became the president the first time, had every legal right to go after Hillary, and the reason he didn't is because he realized,
he did go after
the guy? It came down to this. He literally told the head of the DOJ, I will not be the first president to go after a former first lady.
He said that out loud, but
president. Well, no, I know, but you know what I'm saying? He attacked her in the debates, saying you should be in jail, you should do this.
No, what I'm saying is he literally had the DOJ doing that. Something happened, and then he went and told them to stop. They were doing, it was think it was the fourth investigation that they were having into her emails. They had already had 3 other investigations and stuff like that. It looked fucking terrible. The optics on it were bad.
Yeah.
And then he went and said, okay, well, we don't have to do that and everything else and stuff like that. Trump is really good at backpedaling when the optics look bad. It's the same fucking shit. He campaigned on, we're going to get grocery prices low, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do all this for the American family, and we're going to bring jobs back to America. And then promptly fucking said, I can't do that. I don't have control over that. I don't know how that's going to work.
It's not even the fact of not having control. Anybody that understands how the whole machine of all of it works.
Well,
the inflation we're feeling has been growing for over a decade. You can't fix it in 4 fucking years, even if you tried.
No, well, the other thing is, too, we don't hold true to... Obama enjoyed in the second term a lot of the financial stuff that Bush had fixed. Bush did fix some shit, but
wars are profitable.
Right. Bush did fix some shit, but Bush fucked some shit up. Clinton did a lot of stuff that had immediate effects when he was in office, but for the most part, his being able to say I lowered this and everything else came from economic decisions that were made in the prior administration. Every president basically inherits the economy of the president before them, usually because it takes that long for economic change to kick in. One of the problems with dealing with Trump was a lot of the stuff we're dealing with now was stuff that was enacted back when he was in that Biden didn't fix. And the reason Biden didn't fix it is because Biden didn't have time. He didn't have time, and he also had Republicans in Congress actively not doing stuff because they sat there and did that whole, well, the election was stolen bullshit. And I call it the bullshit that it is, because it is bullshit. You lost the election, you transition the power, governance has to be more important than party. And a lot of people on the right don't seem to understand that the governance has to take priority over your political thoughts. There is absolutely no reason to attack DEI when you're talking about.
We just got hit with a bot, guys.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, I just deleted the comments and froze it in timeout.
What was the comment?
Send money to the starving kids in Africa from Feed the Starving Kids in Africa.
How about we just send food?
How about you tell them to move where the food is? Sam Kinison said that 40 years ago.
I know, but we can't. Remember, you've looked at the way the immigration policy is. Where are we going to send them? Also, they have some of the best fucking land there. Let's just go make farms there and bring food to them.
Yeah, there's a reason that half of the country's called the Fertile Crescent.
Let's get back to that. Let's get back to bringing actual aid to places, not just throw money at it. Actual fucking help.
But that would require America to do something we've never done, which is actually go through and follow through with our word.
We used to do that shit all the time. That's how we ended up.
As I've been alive.
We were doing that before we became the world police. There was a world in which the United States was actually the good guy prior to 9/11.
Well, yeah, prior to 9/11. I mean, could you imagine what would have actually happened if we had literally maybe listened to Charlie Wilson and built all the shit we promised we would have built?
Well, there wouldn't have been a 9/11.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
The world would be a vastly different place than where it is now.
But what I'm saying is, like, yes, for all the bad shit that we did during the 80s.
Hello, viewer. As long as you're not a bot, feel free to comment in. Jump on in.
Oh, please comment, share, subscribe. But anyway, for all of the bad stuff that we did as a country in the 80s, South America, some other stuff, like we can go into the bad stuff. There was a whole lot of actual good shit we did around the world. There was stuff that we did to help people around the world. We did this shit. We did it. It's not imaginary. It's not me having the Mandela effect of just believing in American exceptionalism and stuff like that. We actively tried to live up to the American exceptionalism that we preached. And then we just stopped doing that.
Because I hate to say it, one of the downsides of the Reagan era, we got too full of ourselves, and it became about the image, not the substance.
Right. We're more concerned with looking
back to where our show is supposed to be staying.
Right. We see
right. In the area of the gray. How do we fix? How do we make changes to wake up both sides, to get back to that common sense, to bring humor back to the forefront, to bring games that can just entertain and enjoy, bring movies that can entertain and enjoy, inject ideology and thoughts, but without preaching again.
Get rid of
problem. Everybody
influencers.
wants to force things down, and maybe they don't even want to. They just don't know how to write good shit enough to where you watch it and makes you think. Not actually feel like
that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do. Eliminate the sensitive police. Eliminate the censoring of stuff. Go back to being insensitive.
You're hearing YouTube, get rid of your whole can't say these fucking words shit.
Go back.
You'd be the biggest platform in the world. Rumble wouldn't even exist. The only reason they're getting people is because it's the people that you said a word we don't like.
Go back to the enforcement of the First Amendment and allow the speech to happen, because the speech needs to be heard. Go back to.
You want to build safeguards in AI, you already have it. If you could tell you're in the settings, every single person on YouTube, whatever platform you're on, you could put in a list of words you don't want to hear, let the AI remove it, but let the people that want to hear that shit hear it.
No, don't even do that.
No, because it falls into the same. Hold on. It falls into the same guys as changing the channel, hitting the mute button, or not putting it in your DVR.
It doesn't, and it really doesn't.
I'm giving the good faith gesture because they're not going to go the way we want to go. We got to give them the middle ground.
But you asked. This is the actual steadfast way to the middle ground. Don't sugarcoat or hide what it really is. Let it be what it really is, and then let people interpret it and fight it from there. When you start letting people be in echo chambers, that's when they stop talking to each other.
Okay. I got an idea to fix characters. Right characters that are real.
Leave them alone.
Hold on. Right characters that are real. Right characters that are relatable. Right characters that could be your neighbor, even though they are whatever point you want to make or lesson you want to teach. Let us get invested in them. Let us get emotionally attached to them in their story. And then bring in the story you want. But instead of writing them in as the goddamn stereotypes that the people of those communities themselves can't fucking stand, maybe go out and meet some of those people, those communities, the real ones, and base the characters around them and their lives.
Yeah.
Writers used to do. There's a reason some of the greatest writers that lived in New York would sit in Central Park for hours just listening and watching people.
You want to know how a gay guy from Soho is different from a gay guy from West Hollywood? Go to Soho and then go to West Hollywood.
Exactly. Like I keep telling people, because people never gave the show a chance. You want to see how to write a story about a trans character that people care about, done by an actor that did it in great faith, did a good portrayal, and the writing and everything was done perfectly. It wasn't preachy. In fact, they never even brought up their story till about the 5th episode into the season, to where you're already attached to them. Go watch the reboot of Quantum Leap.
Yep.
That character was done perfectly, to the point where when finally they went into an episode about the issue, it wasn't about them. It was about the person, the guy playing, the Sam Beckett type character was trying to save. But how it was all done was giving you not only an insight into them and what they've been through and how they're emotionally invested in him saving the person he's trying to save because they know what they've been through, but also bringing up a history lesson of, I can't even imagine how the person he's trying to help is dealing with it, because they're dealing with it in the 90s and here I am in the 2020s.
Right.
30-year difference, way different world, way different, way more violent. I mean, that's the other thing. They never talk about the history that needs to be talked about. People want to really understand where the community has come from. Why in all these years after has nobody ever redone, with all the new evidence and everything, a retelling of like the story of Matthew Shepard?
Why has nobody done a retelling of the actual Stonewall riots?
Yeah. It's pretty sad that when it comes to like actually the community in the early 70s, it wasn't until American Horror Story did that most recent kind of weird twisted one. Did it actually bring up the prejudice and fear when AIDS first became known?
Oh my God, dude! There's a bunch of shows that actually did that don't exist no more. Lovecraft Country did that shit. Nobody bothered.
Started about Lovecraft Country. That was the best fucking HP Lovecraft thing ever done, and they shit canned it after one season
because it was too woke.
It gave me my new wife, Abby Lee,
because it was too woke.
But it wasn't. That's the sad thing. That's another show that can go in the list of bringing you into things without. Literally, it wasn't preaching. If you've ever read Lovecraft, it was right on par with all of his shit.
Again, too woke. Anything where you're looking people. But this goes into definition. This goes again into the definition of words. Things are considered woke, and it's like, oh well, if it's woke, it's just some way to make white people feel bad about being white people. No, it can be telling the actual truth of something that happened, but you don't want to pay attention to that. Or you would rather spend more time defending how it's not you than to actually watch it and say, let me go ahead and take this in to understand where this came from. Somebody says sundown towns. Every black person stands up and knows exactly what that. Well, I'm sorry, every older black person. A lot of younger black people may not know what that means. But black people will stand up and know what that means. And then there will be white people that stand up and know what that means. But those white people know what it means for a whole different reason than everybody else. But you'll get everybody else going, well, what's that? Don't worry about that. That's some woke shit. That's old school.
Honestly, that's another thing. Is maybe we just like get rid of woke and the usage of how the word woke is used now, because it never was that when it first came about in the black community.
It's not even a black community thing. Woke was just a young activist thing that came about, and it was literally just meant to be, hey, I pay attention to the social zeitgeist to understand that certain things that were considered to be staples aren't cool things. Racism exists, and it exists, and it's not cool to be racist, but it exists. But I'm not getting into that. But I'm saying, like, to get to that middle ground that you're talking about, this is why I say you have to eliminate the sanctioning and the sectioning off of education. And I'm going to say education. So basically, what you consume. If you don't let it be filtered to what is appealing to the person and you just make it an open market, yes, you then do have the right to be like, I'm going to watch this video and I'm not going to watch this video. But you are equally exposed to all of the education, to every bit of the details that you would need to make a rational decision. The
name of this subject that we started with.
Yeah,
the truth lies in the gray.
Yes, the one thing that we really need to do is we need to hold media, and I'm talking about news media. I'm not talking about like YouTube and TikTok. We need to hold actual.
I gotta say one thing real quick. Hold on, I gotta say one thing real quick. For any of you watching, any of you that may tag or share this, this is not another warning. This is just my little injection here when it comes to social media. There are great things to find on YouTube to find about history, about truth, about everything. But watch both sides. Don't just watch the middle. If you're trying to get your world views from TikTok, jump off a fucking cliff. There is nothing substantively good on TikTok other than baking recipes. And even those are questionable.
No, but you say that, but then you have people like Philip DeFranco and Under the Desk News and all these who are actually putting out.
Based on TikTok, he just shares the shorts on it. He's a YouTube boy, has been for 12 years.
Correct, but I would have never known about him had it not been for
and
TikTok.
Sadly, even Philip on some things goes a little.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it like this. If you're consuming social media and you're using social media as your gathering of news, if you're using your social media for your gathering of just things that you want to know and everything else, that is fine. I would encourage you to watch 2 things you like and 1 thing you don't.
And if you want to deep dive into things and search for things, please, for the love of God, don't use Google.
You can use, but I'm just saying you can phrase it in thinking, okay, hey, I'm learning an opposing viewpoint so that I can make a decision, or you could just look at it in the factional way of, I need to know what the enemy is thinking. I don't care. 2 things you like, 1 thing you don't. But we need to start holding the media accountable for what they are saying. Fox News has got.
The sad part is we used to.
It
wasn't until a law and then, during the Reagan administration that absolved them of that. I asked a friend of mine who knows constitutional law, and he even told me, he goes, they used to be held accountable. He said it wasn't until a law passed in 1983 that all that changed.
And it goes into the distinction of what it is, where it's a difference between journalism and entertainment. But one of the things is this: eliminate that loophole, hold them accountable. If something is said wrong and then I encourage all media people. I don't care who you are. I don't care what affiliations you have with something. When you are doing an interview with a sitting public official and they start saying stuff that blatantly goes against stuff that they've either said before, or they're saying something that's blatantly not true, do your job.
Yeah, put them on the damn spot.
Fact check them in the spot. And the best part about it is, a lot of these people do this shit on camera. You have the footage. Put it the fuck out there. Mm-hmm. Show it. Show both sides. Be in the middle, because you're supposed to be in the middle.
And it would make, if you're worried about your ratings and your sponsors, don't. It would make great ratings if you catch these people in their lies. Point. It's not that hard. You just saw it firsthand a few months ago. The reason Harris bombed is because when she gets called out and caught, most of these politicians, once you get them off the script and the narrative, epically fail. They're not actors. They're con artists, and con artists can never operate off the script. Well, except for the really exceptionally good ones. And yeah, they're not in politics. They run billionaire companies.
Some of them are not in politics.
Yeah.
I feel like we're at 3 hours, and I feel like we got way off all of the subjects we were supposed to be talking.
No, not really. I kind of wanted this one to be fun and kind of free-flowing in the sense that
yeah.
We didn't have a whole lot of subjects this week. It's like the last 2 weeks really hadn't, when it comes to games and entertainment, really, other than Daredevil, have much that comes out. Almost all the movies are bombing. All the shows they're talking about don't drop till the end of this month or beginning of next month. So we're kind of like this episode, we were in kind of a dead zone. Even video game wise, nothing has come out. You know,
we had a theme.
We had a thing when everyone
Justice for Syndrome.
Justice for Syndrome. Hey, Syndrome was misunderstood, and Syndrome wasn't wrong.
Exactly.
He just didn't listen to the no capes rule.
Well, to be fair, a whole ass car was thrown at his jet.
No, Edna Mole was correct.
No capes.
No capes. I wish I could remember it. Trapped in elevator. Sucked into engine plane.
Oh yeah, sucked into a tornado. Yeah.
Snagged on a jet on takeoff.
All right. That is a series of movies. They could make more of them, and I would watch them.
That's one I'd like to see live action.
No. There are some things that need to be kept in the anime and in the animated realm, and that's one of them.
Yes.
Lilo and Stitch is another one, but I'm not going to get into that because it's too late.
What now?
I said Lilo and Stitch was another one that should have stayed in the animated realms, but they didn't. So
that's our next topic for the next
Justice for Cobra Bubbles.
Because by then some of the newer trailers, some of the newer trailers for these things will have been out, so we'll have more to rip apart. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the whole animation needs to stay animation. Disney needs to realize they keep losing money on these things. Leave it be. Do like Disney had the perfect formula. Vault it, release it in 10 years with added shit behind the scenes, and remaster it into the current technology, and you just keep doing that.
Where's my remaster of Robin Hood?
Screw that. I want the movie they never remastered. Give me a goddamn remaster with behind the scenes of the Black Cauldron.
Oh! Yeah. Justice for Black Cauldron.
Or how about give us the anime they never ever made? They made a video game, but they never made an anime. Dragon's Lair.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I like that better.
I want that video game as just a normal anime.
No. You know what I want them to do? Disney needs to do something new. Disney needs to do something exciting. I want an animated movie for Kingdom Hearts.
They own all the intellectual properties in it.
Exactly. There's this is a layup. They'll fuck it up, but this is a layup. Do Kingdom Hearts. Don't do it live action.
I don't think they would be able to fuck it up because some of the creators that worked on that are some of the best in the business. And when it comes to some of those guys, they are very particular about things.
I find your abundance of faith disturbing.
No, I believe that they could do a good job just because you have so much intertwining stories that they only touch the surface of in those game cutscenes that they could just build upon. I mean, it is capable. It is capable of taking stories like that and turning them into great things. I mean, case in point, a great show that was done under Disney's tutelage through ABC, Once Upon a Time.
Oh, yeah, love that.
Yeah,
Once Upon a Time was done perfectly. The one where they fucked up and spent too much money was that horrid first season of the one that was supposed to be in Wonderland.
Yeah,
that was horrible. They didn't need to make that. Just keep those characters in Once Upon a Time and give me more of the evil queen and sexy outfits, and I'm a happy person.
You know what I want?
That and the hot ass redhead that they got to play Merida. God damn.
Oh yeah. What I want, going back to Aliens, I want an Aliens versus Predators game, a new one.
How do you want it done? No, they've done several. No, they've done several Alien versus Predator games. Sega's done several of them.
I know. I played it on the Jaguar when it first came out.
Yeah, the problem. They did a bunch of games on it. The problem was it was just like if you go on YouTube right now, you can actually watch the cinematic playthroughs. They put them together. They clipped them as movies. So you can literally watch the gameplay leading up to beating the game. They made the games, and I get what you're saying, but my question is, how do you want that game formatted? That is important. That tells me everything I need to know about you as a person.
And this is where it comes into. I want the storyline, of course. I want storyline playthrough. I want a character who is maybe partially known, one that we know dies or something. But
I want an Alien versus Predator game. I want it done in the style of Left 4 Dead.
Ooh.
Hunter versus prey.
I'm thinking Red Dead Redemption. I'm thinking Red Dead Redemption with an open world abilities.
Ooh.
That'd be harder to pull off and make it
good.
Would. Not necessarily. You would have to come from an original story with it. So instead of it just being, because it would be 4 ways instead of 3. So it would be told through the story of the alien. It would be told through the story of the predator. It would be told through the story of a colonial marine. But then there's also the civilians that work there. You open world it to that. You open world it sort of to that. I mean, you're going to have, because Red Dead Redemption in itself does have a single mode player where you play through. But you start doing it to that. You start doing basically the build your own adventure shit where people can fuck up and everything else and stuff like that. Multiple endings of the game.
You tie it all together to the lore by putting the main large facility inside the open world as a Weyland-Yutani center.
Yeah.
One of their facilities.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. It would go through developmental hell, and the people who would do it would have to actually respect Alien versus Predator and not be trying to tell some stupid ass story with it. But you can do it. It just
that's the rub.
It's a matter.
Even games have been the sacrifice of bad stories.
It's a matter of doing the work. It's a matter of doing the work and then putting it out there and then seeing what the return is on it versus trying to predict what the return's going to be and then going, okay, we'll do it because we're going to get this much money out of it and stuff like that. Because that's the same shit DC did. DC fucked up with the original Suicide Squad movie by sitting there worrying about, well, is it going to make as much money as this Marvel movie that just came out? And it's like, don't worry about that shit.
And that's why the second one did better because they didn't. They just made a fun, psychotic movie.
Just do a Suicide Squad movie because that
gave us one hell of a comic book accurate representation of Starro.
Right.
Because even Spooperman feared Starro.
Because the people that are going to go see that movie are already fans. And again, I point out to you, Hollywood, multi-billion-dollar industry in comic books. They will go see the movie.
An industry that has actually been around longer than Hollywood.
They will go see the movie. Don't worry about that new audience you're trying to reach. The old audience will go see the movie and you'll make your money back.
We also have more money than your newer audience.
True.
Who do you think pays their frickin' gives them their money in their checking accounts? The parents.
This guy does it.
Say my name.
Oh man. Well, we're about to hit the 3:30 mark, gentlemen. I think this is a good stopping point for the night.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anime recommendations before we leave. Give me 2.
Ooh.
Oh, the one I'm watching right now, the brain fart, the Chinese girl that gets kidnapped. I was telling you to watch. Wolf. Apothecary Diaries.
Apothecary Diaries.
Apothecary Diaries.
One. Okay. If I
you are watching Solo Leveling, yes?
Jeremy Ball?
Yeah.
Are you watching Solo Leveling?
Yeah, no. I thought he was talking to you, but yes, I am.
Oh. Okay. My 2, I would say, would be crap, I'm trying to think of the name of it right now. It's the one where the guy leaves like the greatest hero guild and goes back as a teacher and helps his students clear a huge dungeon.
Oh, I don't know what that is, but that sounds interesting.
I'll send you the name. And then the other one I've gotten hooked on that is a really good one is Legend of the Fire Brigade. No, not Legend of the Fire Brigade. Legend of the Blood Brigade. Done by the same animation studio that does Kaiju number 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend, my oldie's going to be Dominion Tank Force, because you should watch old animes. So always. Dominion Tank Force, and then for you people who love the Netflix, Shield Hero.
Oh, Shield Hero's awesome.
Shield Hero is good. My second one, because I only got really the Apothecary Diaries. If we go old school, Ranma.
Ooh, yeah.
My old school and my favorite still, if people haven't watched it, because they're probably watching the new version. Before you get sucked into the new version, go check out the original Trigun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a reason I have 2 of the main characters tattooed on me. So that's my old school one. Yeah, the
if you're gonna watch Trigun, you gotta pair it up with some Vampire Hunter D.
Yo, shameless plug. I think April 8th and 9th. The weekend of April 8th or whatever. It's gonna be at like Alamo City Draft House and like at the old Regal Cinemas. It's gonna be in theater at the old cinemas. So if you want to go catch it on big screen, it'll be there. Vampire Hunter D.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
I'll forward you. I'll forward you that so that you can see it. But yeah,
sounds like dinner.
That's my shameless plug to all of the San Antonio people. It's going to be out on that day in San Antonio. I think it's going to be in other theaters too, but like in other places.
Draft House, it's probably if it's one of those Eventbrite releases or something like that.
It's
going to be it'll be Regal and in all the draft houses.
Okay, so no matter where you're watching, if you have a Regal Cinema or anything like that, check it out to see if it's going to be on there because there's going to be limited. I guess there's going to be limited showings of it, but it's definitely one of the older animes that's worth watching big screen like that.
Non-anime plug since we brought up Eventbrite events. Sometime next month, throughout nationwide, limited release nationwide, since it's the 25th anniversary. They're re-releasing for one to 2 day stints only Boondock Saints in the movie theaters.
Oh,
because
sweet.
it's the 20th anniversary. And if you haven't checked it out, Matt Duffy, the creator of Boondock Saints, has his own podcast called The Bone Doctor. The Boon Doctor. Go check it out because he's been releasing a whole bunch of behind the scenes. Basically, if you ever wondered how the movie was actually made and how it happened, he basically crawled through his attic and found all the old daily tapes, and he's slowly going through them. So, but I want to thank y'all for listening and joining. Again, we do this every 2 weeks on Saturday at 7:30. So we will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you again, Wolf and 8Ball, for joining. They will be with us on the next one. And until then, take care of yourself, and we will see you then.